Hello, welcome to Breakfast Central here on News Central. This is where we bring you all the latest happenings, information, development, news, current affairs, and everything you know and need. Everything you need to know to start your day right. I am Benga Borowa. Welcome to the program.
And I'm Joe Hansen, welcome you to Breakfast Central. It's another day, no doubt, and we're counting down to the weekend, but not yet, because a lot is happening from different political parties looking forward to hold their primaries, and not forgetting to, we do have that conversation that's got to do with the National Union of Road Transport Workers. Of course, there's an update. And Nigerians are still wondering, when are we going to have power? Guess what? The Minister of Power finally speaks to you. Yes, he did. And he's telling you something which we'll be looking into here on Breakfast Central amidst very, very interesting conversations that we look to have. But guess what? I'm not alone. Benga is not alone. We do have someone joining us this morning here on Breakfast Central. No. It's not the regular. Calm down, calm down. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together as we make welcome on set this morning. Judith at TV joins us this morning.
Hi,
good morning. Good morning.
Hi, Olive. Oh, sorry.
Oh, this pump. Well, thank you so much, guys. It's good to be here. So, midweek hump of the week Wednesday.
Yeah.
Midweek edition of Breakfast Central. And yeah, it's exciting to be back on this table and talk about national issues as it concerns us. So much on the table: oil and gas, global oil, shocks in prices, transportation, electricity, you name it. We all have it up on the table, and I'm excited to have those discussions.
It's great to have you. And even President Tinubu will be jealous of the kind of pomp you got this morning.
Please, I beg you. On your mandate, we shall stand.
I don't know what you're talking about. What are you guys
Please, what are you talking about?
Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, we're streaming live on YouTube, so go ahead and drop a comment or two. We have this here, I've called it different names. So I've said it's the bell of, I said it's the bell of conscience.
Bell of liberty.
So I'm saying it's the bell of, which
that's the latest one. You know it changes.
Okay, they change. No, we don't want it to change. I want it to stick. But bottom line, we're ready. Judith, good to have you.
Thank you for
so many things happening. We're streaming live on YouTube, so also feel free to go online and join us, drop a comment or two on some of the big stories that we'll be taking this morning. Our very first story has got to, but before we go to our very first story, let's calm down. What's power like in your area in terms of?
At first it was really good. Right after they had separated everyone and disbanded everyone and then banded everyone, it was pretty good. So we were on band A, and then we usually have the 20-hour power supply and then 4-hour, and then it became erratic after a while. But I think they're trying to get back to normalcy, but it's really hard because, especially during the days where it's sweltering hot, right? Yes. The heat is insane, especially those afternoons that you can't bear it anymore. There's never any power, and it's more than the 4 hours. So it's been topsy-turvy. Yeah, that's what it's been for us.
I mean, for my situation, it's been terrible, especially during the day. But the good thing is there's a method to it. At least I sleep with light, so with electricity, and then I can have a sound sleep, so I can have a nice program. And that's why I've been doing a nice program all these years, thanks to Minister of Power.
So wait, the way you're going, we might not be able to thrash or hit the nail on the head and be too...
Yeah, but it's my reality. I mean, I sleep with light most times, so it's good.
Most times.
Yeah.
Well, it's been crazy for Nigerians, and I can tell you that the number of Nigerians who are crying that they do not have power has increased in the past 2 to 3 weeks, and it is horrible.
And then they have to buy petrol at such an exorbitant price.
So we're going through a lot. Yeah. We're going through a lot. Well, let's start off our wake-up conversations this morning. Don't forget, like I said, we're streaming live on all socials. Check us out on X. Check us out on Facebook. But don't forget that you can actually join us on YouTube, where you can drop a comment or two. We're reading your comments. And let's get the show started. Already, we do have Saint Johnson. Said, good morning, guys. Judith, we welcome you to Morning Breakfast, he says.
Thank
Absolutely.
You. Thank you
Olive is unavoidably absent this morning, but let's move on straight to our first wake-up conversation. Now, yesterday was a bit dramatic, and I'll mention why. Because Kaduna-based cleric Ahmad Umar has come out to dismiss claims that he was detained by the Department of State Services And that story shocked a lot of people. And who is he, by the way? Anyway, let's tell you about it. Now, recall that former presidential candidate Mr. Peter Obi had earlier raised alarm on X, alleging that the cleric who invited him. Let me just read the tweet quickly. This is Mr. Peter Obi's tweet. He said, "Troubling development in our polity that must be nipped in the bud. I've just been aware early this morning that revered religious leader Sheikh Ahmad Umar has been arrested by authorities shortly after hosting me in Kaduna on Sunday. This development underscores the deeply troubling state of our nation and our democracy, where freedom of speech and movement is increasingly threatened and where citizens and perceived political opponents face harassment and unnecessary persecution. This cannot be allowed to continue. This country must defend freedom and free speech, which are the hallmarks of every democratic society. Suppression and intimidation of dissent can never stand in a democratic society, and this Nigerian government must understand this fact. I respectfully call on all those bent on undermining our already fragile democracy to please stop and apply the rule of law and tenets of democracy in dealing with citizens, according to P.O. That's Peter Obi. That's the official tweets. Now, if you're wondering what happened, over the weekend, especially Sunday, Mr. Peter Obi, that's the man in the middle, and to his left is the one otherwise known as the Sheikh, who invited him to come over the weekend and hosted him. It was rumored that just a few hours after Peter Obi left, the Sheikh was actually arrested, as it were, and invited by the Department of State Services. But he later came out and said, no, I was not. He went on to say that he is safe and well, and he urged supporters to remain calm and stay law-abiding. That's also what he said, that there was no incidents or any situation where he was in any way arrested.
So the big question is, where did Peter Obi get that information from?
The information is still there. But let's watch this footage, and then we'll come down and break the stories for you before we get the points from the guys in the studios, and then, of course, go on X.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuhu. I am speaking today to correct a false report being circulated in some quarters. I was not detained by the DSS. I was invited for questioning. I cooperated fully and I was released. I am free. I am safe and I am well. I want to appeal to all our supporters and to all citizens of Kaduna State. Remain calm, remain peaceful, and remain law-abiding citizen. No one should take the law into his hand. No one should create disorder in the name of loyalty. On the matter of our leader, on the matter concerning our leader, Malam Nasir El-Rufai, let us be patient and let due process take its course. Let us continue to pray and let us keep the peace. And to everyone dissatisfied with the current system, the answer is very simple. Register, vote, and choose better leadership when the time comes. Thank you all. May Allah protect our dear state.
Okay, there you have Sheikh Ahmad Umar. He's a popular sheikh there in Kaduna, and he's a very close ally to Malam Nasir El-Rufai. After the visitation, Peter Obi raised the alarm. He's been arrested. He, in that video, came out and said he was only invited. And questions were asked, and then he was let go, that he wasn't detained. So that's what we hear. So the troubling developments here, what you see on the screen there, Mr. Peter Obi is saying it's a dangerous signal that must not be ignored. He said he had the information that he was, arrested. Just to break it down, the disturbing reality. Now, the incident reflects a growing concern, Mr. Peter Obi said. Freedom of speech is under pressure. Freedom of movement is increasingly threatened. Citizens are perceived as political opponents, and they face harassment and persecution. I don't know, Judith, I don't know what you think. Benga, let's come back into the studio. I mean, it seems a bit troubling that as soon as after he was invited, he hosted Mr. Peter Obi, he was now invited and so on. Is there any coincidence? I don't know what Judith thinks first. Right.
I mean, I got to say that the tempers in Kaduna State at this time is extremely high. And it really goes to, you know, the notoriety that Malam Nasir El-Rufai has in the state. But also what's very interesting about all of this is how he made that statement. When you look at the body language of the sheikh, it's very interesting that he, I don't want to say he seemed, I'll say he seemed a little bit tense, you know what I mean? It's not something like, well, this is what happened. He's sitting back, he's looking at the corner. If you can play the video again for us so we can watch it. Every single time that he's talking, he looks to the corner so that he doesn't miss our points. So it looks like he has talking points to make this statement. It's not necessarily that he's coming out to debunk something. You know when there's a difference when you have all your ducks in a row and you were stating, this is what happened, this is what happened. But also notice how he never referred to Peter Obi in that video. He never said, he never called his name. He never said anything. He said, whatever news you've heard is not true. And so it's very interesting how at first you invite this person, he honors your invitation, you have a tour, as you can see with him there, and then afterwards you come on, if you watch, he looks down again, he looks back up, you see him, he'll go look at the corner because he's like taking notes, making sure he doesn't miss the point. And it's very interesting what's happening in Kaduna State. Only time will tell what's going on, but I do have to say the notoriety of Malam Nasir El-Rufai and all that's charged against him between himself and this current dispensation, we'll watch it play out on national stage.
So, I mean, like you rightly said, the atmosphere in Kaduna State is highly charged, and we all understand why, because of the politics involved. And then having one of the biggest opposition leaders in Nigeria, in the person of Mr. Peter Obi, visit at such a time would send tongues wagging. But I don't think it's under the purview of the Department of State Services, the DSS. I really, because the Nigerian Constitution guarantees you freedom of movement, freedom of association. So if a private citizen decides to visit another citizen, will they, if Joe visits me, are they going to invite him for questioning? State's resources being wasted on the altar of politics? Because, I mean, what's the point? There's no national security threat that we can see from our own point of view. But invitation and detention is different, and I'm glad that the good Sheikh cleared there on that. It wasn't detained, it was only invited for questioning, and that's a nuisance on itself. I would rather go about my regular duties than visiting the DSS because I received a visitor.
It's quite shocking. I think for us, we're also looking at it play out from the aspect that the election season is about to heat up. So every single action, every single move is now quickly being interpreted to mean something like, okay, what does this mean? What does this mean? Even the arrest. I mean,
even the invitation.
Even the invitation. Malam Nasir El-Rufai yesterday, the court enjoined, it was now adjourned. So all of that has an implication that the way it's being adjourned, you also have, we talked about the Attorney General of the Federation yesterday, is also being adjourned. One is wondering, will these cases continue to be adjourned up until election?
Right.
That's another thing everyone is looking at.
Right. And it really plays into, you know, what Benga said about the fact that you're using state resources and taxpayers' money when it comes to politicking, right? Because, again, when you look at the Sheikh, and you just looking at his disposition, he really was, when you look at the pictures and the video ops between himself and Peter Obi, it's very clear that there seems to be a camaraderie between these two, right? And then afterwards, you can see how there's no expression. He's pretty much tense, and he's making sure he gets all his talking points on there. So clearly, this is politicking, but unfortunately, we cannot remove state resources, taxpayers' money in what seems to be playing out as witch hunting.
Yeah, but the DSS should be apolitical. They serve the Nigerian people. They don't serve a particular party. And I guess we'll continue to observe the situation. But I like that the Nigerian political class is very sensitive. And when there's any slight
movement,
they raise the alarm. It's a danger to our democracy.
Right. but also, I mean, what is the DSS for? Right? What are their responsibilities? What exactly are they supposed to be doing? Right? Why are you calling this person and you're inviting him for questioning regarding what exactly, when there are issues of insecurity, whether it's Southern Kaduna, whether just at the borders, right? Why is it chic? And perfect timing, and so much perfect timing that one of the vocal, most prominent opposition leader to this dispensation is, you know, just at the phrase of this invitation. And so it begs to ask a question, why is the DSS
what do you think?
You know, there's so much on the table that needs to be tackled as opposed to inviting private
Judith,
citizens.
I know you're not a soothsayer or as a wine. But what do you think the line of, I mean, we can only speculate here as journalists. What do you think the line of questioning would have been between the DSS and Sheikh?
Okay. So do you want me to role play it?
What were you doing with?
Alhaji, welcome. We saw videos of yourself at this time. Kaduna State is of, and you have been a vocal supporter of Malam El-Rufai. Is there any chance that he has spoken to you since his detention? What relationship do you have between Malam El-Rufai? And, you know, so I think that's what will be the question, right?
Are you allowed to?
Yeah, pretty much.
Are you allowed to plead the fifth in Nigeria?
No, you're not. You're not allowed to.
You have to talk.
You have to talk.
You have to talk.
Yeah, you're not allowed. I don't think the law.
Let's see what Nigerians are saying. Let's go to X and see how Nigerians reacted to this story after the tweets and then the reactionary video. The continuous political persecution under this administration is disgraceful, according to Sarah Ibrahim. She says, they claim Peter Obi went to Kaduna to organize a protest for Malam El-Rufai. Who said so? Okay, maybe this is another angle that people heard. And that Sheikh Ahmad Umar was arrested for allegedly supporting it. This war against our democracy. Oh, okay. Sarah Ibrahim, maybe she has some inside gists. Well, she's only on X. Kelly of Benin, all the way from Benin, says it's pretty obvious this man is under some serious pressure. Just like Judith has highlighted as well. They've clearly put Oga on the spot. From the way his eyes keep shifting and how he's talking, it really feels like he's reading off a script behind the camera.
I said it.
I just hope he's actually okay and in the right state of mind, as he claims. My only question is, why did the invitation suddenly come right after Peter Obi visited him? I bet make we all just rest. May God deliver this country from the hands of wicked people, he says. Well, that's Kelly's thoughts, not our thoughts on News Central. Obi's first daughter. Oh, really? Obi has a first daughter? This man said he was later released. In quotes, released, in quote. How can you be talking about being released when you weren't arrested? That's one of the points I raised there.
Released to go home.
Okay, but we are not captured. Why are you released? Allowed to go home, or you were told?
You shouldn't have.
You were told to go home.
Or the meeting ended.
Dismissed.
Yeah, dismissed.
Exactly. Next time someone is arrested and Peter Obi refuses to say something, nobody should blame him. I personally wonder what APC intend to gain from this drama they pulled. All right, that's Obi's first daughter. Kingsley says, my happiness is that power is transient. What some people don't understand is that one day power will shift and they will also be haunted. I don't feel sorry for any of these politicians as far as you used your power to oppress people when you had the power. For those doing rubbish now, please remember tomorrow will be your turn to receive the same rubbish. Rule of law is far from even law schools. My goodness. What a statement. Rule of law is even far from law schools. We have one story that's going to highlight that as well.
Right.
APC, the largest political party in Africa, is afraid of a man with no party, according to Love.
I got to say this. Oh, you want to take that before I...
Yeah, let's take the final one. Dear Peter Obi, do you think it's time to take a more visibly active stance, perhaps even leading from the front through peaceful public protest? This is why till today many of us still wonder how you intend to defend the mandate Nigerians may overwhelmingly give you in the 2027 election. Sir, will it be a case of strong words and powerful speeches without decisive action if such a mandate is challenged? Or is there a clear practical strategy to ensure that the will of the people is protected? Do you think it is long overdue to re-strategize and confront these challenges head-on? These are genuine concerns shared by many patriotic Nigerians. It's one thing to vote, but another thing to defend that vote. And ordinary citizens cannot do it alone, especially when political leaders are not visibly leading the charge. Many Nigerians will be willing to stand with you and your team if you take that first bold step. A new and better Nigeria is still possible, he says. And that's all the tweet we're going to take.
Right.
Very poignant question. Yeah.
Very, but also I do want to point out something, gentlemen, and hopefully you'd be open to my critique, right? The statement that power is transient is slowly and surely not holding water anymore. Let me explain. This dispensation, when this ruling party was once in opposition, and they fought tooth and nail to cling to power. And when they have done it, they did it with means that had never been seen before. A PR machine, that was nicely oiled and brought in the most unlikeliest candidates to ruin us. And we're here, God rest his soul, 10 years after, a decade after, we're still going on. Just everything is crumbling. And now with this new dispensation, with this new leadership, we have seen their disdain for opposition, their disdain for dissent, their disdain for anything that is contrary to what they want to have as leadership. And they want to hold power so much so that we have seen defectors over and over again. So how many states do they have now? How many governors do they have now? And so I don't think power is transient anymore. I think that Nigerians need to be aware of that and to look at the trends and what's happening and start to ask themselves real questions. Where is our democracy heading? And if truly and indeed we have a semblance of democracy, because we're making a sham of it.
All right. Well, drop your comments or two. We have so much we're going to read on X. I'll be coming back to them in a moment. Let's go to another story this time. We have to ring the bell of conscience. Musiliu Ayinde Akinsonya, widely known as MC Oluomo, has maintained that he remains the national president of the National Union of Road Transport Workers, despite the takeover from the union's Abuja secretariat by rival faction leader Tajuddin Baruwa. Baruwa, who cites court rulings in his favor, says his actions are in line with judgments affirming his leadership. But Akinsonya insists the situation is still subject to ongoing legal processes. In a statement and in a video that you see there on the screen, now circulated on social media, he described the move as a forceful takeover, stressing that he was not a party to the judgment being referenced and that his name did not appear anywhere in the ruling Baruwa has been relying on. He added that the judgment has been appealed and a stay of execution secured, noting that the matter remains before the courts while security agencies continue to monitor developments. As tensions linger, the dispute underscores a deepening leadership battle within the National Union of Road Transport Workers, with both sides standing firm as the legal process runs its course. We want to apologize that the video you're about to watch, it isn't translated, but of course, we will do our best to let you know what he said. But let's just take a look. You can see MC Oluomo right there, walking within the office, the secretariat, and checking out what was happening and what was done. But just take a look.
Don't know she's fine there. Ìgbà tó máa sọ pé òun fẹ́ padà wá bí kàǹtìkàǹtì wà ń bí. Kàǹtìkàǹtì wà ń bí. Kò ń ṣe MC ń gbà yẹn. Because MC ò tí ì ní lọ́kàn wípé òun máa wá sí president. Ṣẹ́dẹ̀ rí ọ̀ọ́dẹ́ ní Lagos State o. Ọ̀ọ́dẹ́ ní Lagos State o. Èmi mo pinnu wípé mo fẹ́ wá sí ipò president. Èmi mo pinnu because mo fẹ́ fi build career mi ni. Tẹ́ bá sọ pé ìkólówó wà, kíní kan lówó wà, ìgbà kan lówó wà, ẹ̀rọ kan gbáka ọkọ̀. Ìkan tó ní kálukú bá gbìn ló máa padà ká. Ìkan tó ní kálukú bá gbìn ló máa padà ká. Ìkan tó fi mú èmi tí mo fi wá sí headquarter mo fẹ́ build career mi ni. Jẹ́ pé tó bá sọ story in union, ọmọ àmà sọ pé MC náà in president.
Okay.
Okay.
So, I mean, people have
Just to
personal
translate
ambitions.
for the benefit of
Yes.
our viewers. I mean, must
Yeah,
apologize.
it's from London. I don't
Yeah,
think
we
it's-
must apologize for not having the translated video up. We'll work on that. But Benga.
So he basically said he started from Lagos, and then when he started from Lagos, and he had the dream that he left Lagos voluntarily, that he wanted to build his career. I'm sure you got that part. And that's why he went to Abuja for the presidency of the National Union of Road Transport Workers, and that in future posterity, when they're talking about labor leaders, of union leaders, they will always remember that, you know, he was there. That's the little bit we could catch. He didn't get to the part of a conflict.
Well,
quite a long video.
Yeah, but
unfortunately,
just
we
to
don't
add to that, the lengthy video, we also went ahead to say that in all the 36 states, they listen to him more than they do Barua, and that he has the mandate of the people, and that even if he's done in office, he's going to ensure that he still has control of the National Union of Road Transport Workers.
But isn't it a court order already?
Now,
multiple court orders.
now there are
So what are we
multiple court
talking
orders.
about?
We talked about this yesterday. I'm happy that, you know, as usual, as journalists, we have to give you updates. Now, he also said that his name was not in the court papers.
What
and we were not
does it
talking
mean?
to him.
Was it-
But
is it not-
let's look at this whole thing. I'm going to repeat again for the benefit of those who just joined us. Najim Yassin was the former president of the NURTW. I mean, he got into office right from 2015, and he was supposed to leave in 2022. He decided to stay, just like MC Loma is staying now. And they took him to court, and they ensured that he left office. So in 2023, he was actually out of office. Court order, and of course, Barua and MC Loma fighting to ensure he leaves that space. Now, in the process, the court looked at who is more recommended, who is recommended to be the next president, who met the entire process.
A prerequisite of the
And
requirement.
it was Barua, according to the court documents. So he was about to resume office, but unfortunately for him, MC Olomo resumed office before him and said, listen, I'm the next.
You know, in all of this, I mean, there's nothing, it's an absolute disgrace that we've gotten to this level. And the most painful part in all of this is that I saw personnel of the Nigerian army and the Nigerian police follow him to the NURTW secretariat. Under what orders? I mean, you could excuse the police. They use them for all
But
the
the
sorts of
Nigerian
things.
army-
But the Nigerian army,
The
at a
Nigerian
time when
army-
we're facing critical national security issues, they have time to escort a private individual that happens to have favor with Mr. President and that
Does
has
he have
violated.
favor with Mr. President?
I mean, he's
Because not everyone that wears infinity
It's true.
sign
Has
has favor
direct-
with
but I
has
mean-
No, he
direct-
has favor with the president, and many have said it. Many
I also have favor
are
with the
suggesting
president, but I
that
don't
maybe
But it's
because it's so
a
close.
tragedy that, you know, Nigerians that have been in kidnappers' den for over 100 days, crying for help, trying to raise money for ransom. People are dying on a daily basis, and then you see law enforcement follow someone that has clearly violated multiple
orders.
So they are perpetrating the illegality, and it's sad.
Can I flip this table on its
Please
head?
go ahead.
I hopefully have enough time because I know Malcolm is going to be in my ears. And this is a clear example of what APC is about. Sorry. APC, whether AC, whether ACN, as it continues to morph, this is who they are, you know, part and parcel. MC Olomo is displaying the very traits that, you know, the unruliness of those who are of that class. If there is a court order, multiple court orders, if there is a process to this thing, why do you carry your bag, carried your kaya, left your jurisdiction? Because it's like saying that I want to become director of New Central. Mr. K, it's not true. I want to become director of New Central.
MD.
I now got up one morning and I went to his office. I sat down there. Do you understand? It's unruly in every sense, right? And so by now, the president and everyone who wears that symbol should remove themselves from this individual. It's unruly,
And
it's illegal.
And condemn his actions.
And condemn his actions.
It's painful. It's really painful how our security agencies have, in one way or the other. I mean, we're not saying that the method and way in which Baruwa tried to invade the office is acceptable. Right. Yeah. It's not right.
And not neither.
But it for me, it shows there's a ticking time bomb, and we need to say it here. And this has to do with Nigeria's judiciary, and it's very sad that the law and the courts are no longer respected like they used to. You don't give a court order or an injunction, and then you pass an order, and then all of a sudden, individuals choose what they want to honor, what they want to listen to, what they want. They say no, that's not
like it's based on your whims.
It's like, what's my business? You went to the court gave a verdict, and so what? And so what?
That's a very dangerous place to be.
Because what happens now is it's about power, money. Those who have power, money will control the courts. Is that what we're saying? Because that's what it's looking like. Let's see what Nigerians are saying very quickly on this story before we go on YouTube and then try to wrap things up very quickly because our top stories are on the way. Inebayev Young jumps on this one. He says, soldiers accompanied MC Oluomo to take over the National Secretariat of the NURTW in defiance of a court judgment sacking him. Is this the country that we want to bestow on our children? You know, sometimes you listen to that last line and you shudder. Una know what he mean. Okay, that's pidgin English, but hey, we could take that, but it's fine. Let's go to Anthony Ade quickly. All those abusing MC using his mother tongue to address us, please get a life and move on, or use AI app to translate. Even me that understand Yoruba cannot summarize or highlight key point of the 7-minute speech. Is he sarcastic or something?
I mean, that's not even the issue.
That's not the issue.
Speaking the language, it's the act.
The act.
Yes.
The act. Although many have complained that he's not a communicator. So why is he there?
Because it's National Union of Road Transport Workers. It has a pan-Nigeria mandate.
Quality. And that quality should be able to communicate to everybody.
In the official language.
It's not just the Yorubas that use transportation.
You're right.
It's not just Yorubas that take buses. Everybody. Let's take another one. Oluwatoyin, quickly. This is straight up contempt of court and rule of law. MC Oluomo and co. forcefully reclaiming the secretariat with soldiers and police on standby while the judiciary already ruled. NURTW drama has now become national embarrassment. Transport workers deserve better than this thug show in Abuja. Well, that's all we're going to take on X. Let's go straight to YouTube as we wrap things up and head straight to our top stories. So many comments on YouTube. So many. I don't know where to start from. All right. Good morning, guys. Judith, we welcome you to the morning breakfast.
Thank you so much. Thank you, guys.
Power has been terrible. We're on band A, but we barely have light up for 2 hours. My question is, why am I still on band A? Prince Ajibade, sorry about that. That's the question we're asking, and we'll ask that later on in the course of the show. Peter Obi didn't say he was detained. PO said he was arrested, and the cleric is attesting to the same. Otherwise, why was the cleric invited if not for PO and so on and so forth? Okay, thank you so much for that, Clarence. But one thing I love about Obi is he doesn't have anything dark in his cupboard. Because if he had, this government would have dealt with him so bad. Anyways, this is the silliest way to play politics by this government. So says another one. Let's look at the last and final story, guys, as we wrap things up. I'm sorry you don't have power. It is a major situation in Nigeria. And the minister decided to address Nigerians. Take a look at what he said.
Coming from me as Minister of Power, that for this temporary issue that is leading to hardship being experienced, especially during this dry season, where there is so much heat everywhere, where businesses are also being affected, where schools are being affected, where industries are being affected. It is not our wish to find ourselves in this situation, but it's some factors that's actually beyond our control. But we are not relenting. We are working on it 24/7 to make sure that we go back to the trend, to the trajectory of 2025, whereby you praised us, whereby you commended us for a good job well done. And we can imagine if we could provide such service in 2025, this is 2026, this is when we'll be willing to even do more, to even do better as we are close to the election year. So, except that we cannot help it. That's why we find ourselves here. But I can assure you that in the next few weeks, all this will be over. Power generation will improve, transmission will improve, distribution will improve, and that 6,000 megawatts will be achieved before the end of this year. And Nigerians will be better for it. Thank you. very much. So before
Who are the people that always clap?
Is aids. If you don't clap, you
Who are the
won't
people
get
that
aid
clap?
at the end of the
Every
month.
statement does not mean you clap.
I'm sorry.
When the U.S.
I didn't mean to
president, when the
laugh.
U.S. president makes a straight statement and he lands, you don't clap. He's making a statement, an affirmation. It's not for clapping. I don't know your reactions quickly because we're out of time.
Do you want to go first or do you want me to go?
I mean, it's okay. I'll let you go.
And look, I got to say this. We still haven't solved the problem. We can... Our government has an issue, and that is skirting around the problems and always making empty promises that they cannot keep. Adelabu, you haven't given me a structure on how you're going to fix it. You've not given me a plan of how you're going to fix it. You're saying you revert back to the good old days. When was the good old days?
It said 2025.
20.
When Nigerians were praising him.
Good old days was in 2025 when Nigerians were fighting. They couldn't afford the disbandment and banment that you put them under.
Discriminatory.
You know, the discriminatory that you know. So what exactly is the good old days? The issue here is this. The Gencos said that they cannot generate because they owe. There is a debt, and the majority of that debt, you know who owes them. The government needs to. The reason why we don't have lights is the government. Stop skirting around the issues. Go after the debtors, make them pay so Gencos can pay, and so that we can have light.
It's siren.
I totally understand you. In a few months, it will be the third year of this administration. President Tinubu took a bold step by predicating his re-election on the
If I don't
supply
give
of
you
electricity.
power,
Yes,
don't
he said that.
vote for
and
me
for
for
him to
second
make
term.
such a bold decision, you would think his peak for Minister of Power will be someone who's top-notch, who exudes excellence and who understands the job. But from what we've seen from Mr. Adelabu so far, he seems to be distracted by his gubernatorial ambitions, and he has done a terrible job
Is it Adelabu that
as
wants to be-
Minister.
Yeah, it's going for Oyo State.
Oyo State.
Okay.
Yeah, and he's done a terrible job as far as I'm concerned. Look, you could skirt around the issues, talk about the problems these people are owing you. As far as Nigerians are concerned, we don't have electricity, and that's what matters the most. I don't want to know your reasons. Joe and I and you could come up with 300 reasons why we can't come to work today. You know, something happened where mental health, my cat died, and all of that. But management is not going to hear all those stupid excuses. They just want you to do your job and do a great job at it. So I think Nigerians need to stop treating politicians and appointment holders with kid gloves. We put them there. Now that we even have a tax regime, the more reason why we need to hold them accountable, because this money is very hard to come by.
Let's see what Nigerians are saying very quickly. Let's see what you're saying. Our YouTube is on fire with so many comments. Try and see if I can take any of them. But Nigerians are saying this. Mazi says he has mastered the art of damage control. I pity his people. They will get tired of stories if they finally vote him in as governor. We do hear that he's about to even... anyway, let's move on. We'll talk about that. Have you ever stopped working on something?
Exactly.
But the problem is that they are still not working.
We're working on it.
We're working on it, but it never works. Let's take another one. Words are easy, but Nigerians need stable power. Not repeated apologies from Adebayo Adela.
Excuses.
Hope this time the solution is real and lasting, because the impact on daily life and businesses is getting too heavy. Another one, that's from Chimamanda. Thank you. That's your tweet. Chinaya says, does it stop him from wearing a new set of agbada every day? No. The masses should bear with him as they flenjo their lives. Okay.
Guys,
we're wrapping things
You were going to
up,
say
but
something about his gubernatorial.
I just want to say this, yeah. So there are rumors that he's not going to go for the governorship seat anymore.
No, he must go.
So we are saying, Adelabu, you must go for that governorship.
Must go.
At the risk of making a case for Adelabu, is the position of Minister of Power plagued, or cursed? Because everyone who's taking that position, they have their reputation have been. You know what I mean? I'm just saying.
Bathinaji did do a good job.
He tried. He set up things. I mean,
he tried with the NERC.
Let's be honest. In all honesty, guys, whether it is plagued or not, one, as we wrap things up, the president said, if I don't give you power, don't vote for me for second term. You decide what you do second term. Two, we are tired of this is not campaign speech. Why do you come and give
3 years after?
After 3 years. I keep telling people, when you have been saddled with responsibility to present a program, present. Don't come
And
say,
if you can't do it, if there are things that will soil your reputation, resign.
Resign.
It's a do or die affair.
In Nigeria, and besides resigning, the president ought to have, because our ministerial
good KPIs
that they do with committees. The president should say, look, there have to be heads on the chopping block. The only time he puts heads on chopping block is when they say things contrary to what he has said. Case in point, what
we
do?
We get that point. But then again, do let us know. So many comments. We'll take your comments in the course of the program. But the Minister of Power is saying, don't worry, they're going to make things work. It's going to take us back to 2025.
The good old days.
The good old days, he calls it. There's
good old days.
No, it's not a good old day. We don't see that as a good old day. So if you want to take us back then and you think that was it, I'm sorry. Businesses are, people are closing shop. People are losing it.
And not to forget
spending money. Fuel is 1,400, 1,333, and no power. You put so many problems to talk about. So
how many? Anyway, let's go.
Let's bring our top stories and get straight into it.
Let's do that.
This morning on Breakfast Central, we'll be looking at APC convention screening.
The court adjourns El-Rufai's bail hearing to March 31st.
And Ojulari forecasts quick 100,000 barrels per day oil production surge.
And NPCL CEO MC Oluomo reclaims office in leadership crisis in the NURT. As always, we've got the newspaper front pages review as well on the show. Stay with us.
Welcome back to Breakfast Central. Concern is growing over the increasing number of children living on the streets in Cross River State, a situation many describe as a silent humanitarian crisis. Reports indicate that minors have been forced into street life due to a mix of poverty, family breakdown, and lack of social protection systems, leaving them vulnerable to exploitation, abuse, and neglect.
Advocates say these children, often seen begging, hawking, or sleeping in open spaces, face daily risks ranging from physical violence and substance abuse to trafficking and sexual exploitation. The situation has sparked urgent calls for government intervention, with many asking whether existing child protection laws and social welfare programs are being effectively implemented to safeguard these vulnerable young children. To shed more light on this growing concern and what the government is doing, and the state government is doing to tackle it, we're joined by the Commissioner for Information and Orientation for Cross River State, and that is Dr. Ramos Ekpang. Doctor, many thanks for joining us, Honorable Commissioner. It's good to have you on the show this morning. Let me start by you just giving us a clearer picture of the situation that is happening across Cross River State, particularly in the capital, Calabar. What are we looking at?
Yeah, thank you so very much. Yeah, I'll just take you to a brief story of what's going on here. I want to first start with the governor's policy on programs to address issues bordering around safety and protection of children in our state. Cross River State, as you're aware, is a signatory to the Child Rights Act. And of course, also catching up with the child protection law in collaboration with the Office of the Wife of Excellency. That has been commended by the UNICEF already, because the government of Cross River State is doing a lot to ensure that children are well taken off the streets. We do a lot of going around to take children off the streets, send them to school. We pay free YX school fees here in Calabar. And of course, we have nutrition committees that have been set to ensure that children have the basic nutrition so that they grow well and all that. So I think the state is very friendly with this. But with what happened, actually, it's quite unfortunate. This state actually inherited that. So for the past almost 17 years, we've had children who have been abandoned, who have been born, delivered, abandoned in waste bins and all that. Some, thrown out of their house for, reasons of either their wish or whatever. So, they gather themselves within the street. They've grown to the extent that some are almost 19, 20 years or even above right now at the point. And thank God for what transpired, though the state, Cross River State, totally condemned
the tying of those children. That was not necessary because no directives came from the government for such acts. Although for the children's side, they've been they've been causing serious menace and doing a lot of things. The state has tried several times, to put them in a kind of, reclaimable facilities. We had one somewhere in Edebedebe to somehow rehabilitate these kids, get them down there and then put them, through. But somehow they vandalized these facilities, escaped. The state has at the same time gone ahead to, build a second facility where these children escaped. So I think very well that for that video, that, came up, I think those were like the children that escaped, but though we don't still accept that punishment of tying their legs. But I think the task force were actually wondering how else to hold them one place so that they won't go back. Now for these kids, it's been a problem for us. And I tell you, they've been syndicates to robbery, they've been doing a lot of drugs, they've been raping. Most of them, they have females there that have given birth to children they sell. They've been into drugs, you see, find cartridges with them. They give information to most of them locks opposite banks, and of course give information to when you do some withdrawals and all that. We've faulted some issues like that and all that. So the state itself, as a state, is trying its best to see how we can gather and get all these children together to actually be rehabilitated, to actually train them, counsel them, we feed them free and all that. But somehow we still have escapees. They prefer the streets. And I want to tell you too that these children, some of them actually have parents. Some of them actually leave after a while, go home, take their baths, still come out to the street. They like the streets and all that. So it's a difficult thing for us as a state. We're trying our best to see how we can gather these children together, put them in those facilities where they always come, break out, and then, escape. And then, of course, the tax force. While people got ahead, like, we said the tax force, and that was the tax force. Though they malhandled that, they didn't do that well. It wasn't nice. Personally, after here, I'm going around to see some of those kids and, see how we can. But sometimes they see us, they just take off, they just run. Because they just feel we want to take them back to that facility, we want to groom them very well. This administration is very passionate about the child rights. Of course, we are children friendly. Of course, Cross River State is one of, about the first states that brought out the boy child through the Ministry of Women Affairs and all that. Keep a day aside to celebrate them. So, I mean, it's quite disheartening to see that, that situation had occurred and it came out that, viral. Meanwhile, as I speak, the social societies and, of course, the tax force are, have been working together, they've been friends. At some point, when some kids escaped, they met with the tax force when the tax force is trying to get those kids back and promised that they want to handle the kids or take care of the kids themselves. And I think an agreement was made there where the tax force agreed that, okay, we'll be giving you a social amount of money. Let's see if you'll be able to keep them and they will not escape. So for such embarrassment for the state, I think we totally apologize for that. And of course, Cross River State is not known for such, habit of, tying of kids. Instead, we love kids, we take good care of them, and of course, we've gone around homes to tell parents, bring your children out to school. We're paying their school fees as a government, and of course, we have nutrition committee, which I'm a member, trying to see the kind of foods they eat and all that. So, how they grow up, their balanced diet and all that. Okay. So it's quite disheartening, and honestly, apologies from the state here.
All right. Okay, Honorable. I mean, we did hear that a lot had been done to the children. You've painted the picture of what the government is doing, providing shelter, facilities, and so on and so forth. Let's just go back a bit. So we might just have to take that video very quickly for the benefit of our viewers who had joined us yesterday and then today as we have this conversation so that we can highlight what the issues really are. I mean, you've given us a long list of the things that have been done by the government, but let's just watch this footage. We'll be right back to talk on it.
Thank you.
So right now, what happened now?
So what do you mean by what happened now? You are using a cutlass on children. We received a call. Government task force officials from the Calabar Urban Development Authority had rounded up children on the streets and were taking them away. When we arrived, we found the children on the ground, hands bound, feet bound, crying, shaking. Some of them too afraid to even make a sound, and a government official standing over them with a machete. This is not a claim, we have it on camera. My name is Miracle. I'm the chief storyteller at Street Priest, a non-profit organization that works with children living on the streets. I was there. I saw the fears in the eyes of the children. children.
Okay, just a snippet of that footage. The guys at Street Priests did join us yesterday to talk about what they witnessed and how they were even attacked by the Calabar Urban Development Authority. And we wonder why. I'm sure you also got the point that they use machetes on these children, beating them and doing all of that. The question right now is, what is the government in Calabar doing to these persons that you've given the authority and the rights to take charge and manage the situation in Calabar with these children who are on the streets? Is machete part of the directive that the government gave to them to use in beating these children?
Well, thank you so very much. Like I said earlier, the government of the day, the government of Cross River State totally condemned that act. Honestly, it is so sad. It's bad coming from a state like Cross River State, where His Excellency, the governor of Cross River State, is actually, I've been there for very positive vibes, of late, recently in some few years. Cross River State is coming out very open, and of course, we have been doing very well. So I think it's bad, but that has to do with individual, individual attitude. I don't support what the task force did. I won't encourage it. I totally condemn it. It's totally wrong. Of course, it's not our ears that they did such a thing. And I think even the CUDA, it's a task force from Calabar Urban Development Authority, even their GM or so would never knew that happened, because I put a call across to him. But the truth about it is that these same children, for the world out there, you see it, yes, they are children. A lot of them are under 19, under 18 years, they are teenagers. But if you know the havoc these children cause, sometimes it's to get them back, threaten them. But I know that is, regardless of whatever they do, that act was totally bad. You see these children, we have edifices roundabout where you have the Maurice Lesser edifice where, as Calabar is noted as one of the cleanest towns. They go there, desinfectate, cook, eat. They can, they pick your goods, your chicken, whatever at least. They press, they kind of touch adult women wrongly. When you're crossing the road, they kind of press you, seize your bag, steal your phones. They kind of do a lot of terrible things. And of course, those children, I think, escaped from a facility that they were trying to get them back. And as I speak to you, after that incident, those children were handed over to the street priest, and I think the Commissioner for Women Affairs, Honorable Aaron, has spoken to the street priest already. And of course, that matter was sorted out. How the video went out, we didn't know. So we don't like that video. We condemn the video totally. We never encourage. And of course, we're investigating it. As I speak, like I said earlier on, just after this interview, I'm going around with the task force, the general manager of CUDA, and of course, the task force people, especially those that appeared on that videos, definitely will be cautioned on maybe Facebook. But at the same time, we have to address these children, because if you know the havoc they are causing in the state capital, you need to visit Cross River State, and we take a trip round. You see, sometimes students are coming back from school. These children will start aiming them. They've raped a lot of schoolgirls. They've seized a lot of bags, seized a lot of phones. As it is, Colombo itself is a cult. It's a serious cult. As it is a cult, we really have to manage and tackle with. So somehow the task force may have just forgotten their kids and then handled them like cultists that are adults. And that is why they did what they did, which was totally wrong and condemned by us.
And so,
these children have caused...
Honorable Commissioner,
yeah.
You've made some very serious allegations on this program this morning.
Yes.
You mentioned, this is the second time, you mentioned that the children are responsible for rape. From what we can deduce is that, the government seems to be demonizing these children, because at the end of the day, they're still minors in order to abdicate its responsibilities. Is there a holistic program? If they're committing crimes, that's the purview of law enforcement agents to arrest them and take them to a juvenile center or do something about it. But it shouldn't excuse kids being abandoned on the streets. They're still minors. And all this.
As I speak with you, these kids, some of them are self-abandoned.
So
as I speak with you, some of them are self-abandoned. These kids, some of them are not from Cross River State. They come from Dublin State.
The question is...
They tried a lot in Akwa Ibom State and they were chased out. They are not abandoned children. Some of them have homes. They tell you they have uncles. I'm going out right now to visit some of them. And of course, we'll do an interview on them. I'll send it back to you.
Right.
Some of them have homes.
Commissioner.
But they come out to the street. Yes.
Commissioner, I was going to ask you, right, because What we're dealing here with is minors, whether we like it or not. And this is an issue of rescuing them, taking them off the street, but most importantly, rehabilitating them and reintegrating them back. Because whether we like it or not, they have to go back into the communities, into the streets, back into homes, back into schools and whatever. And so one has to look at the agency that you have put in place to handle the situation, which is the 3 R's, the rescue, rehabilitate, and reintegrate. What is the hiring process like? Are there counselors there? Are there healthcare workers there? Are there individuals who are equipped, trained, and have the educational background to be able to do this? Because if the street prophets are saying that the children are alleging that they were using machetes on them, it begs to ask the question whether they're being punished or they're rightfully being rehabilitated the way ought to be best practices. Commissioner.
Okay, thank you so very much. At the point of that argument, using machete on the kids, I think that was totally wrong. I think that was not possible. I think it was just a threat for the children not to, escape their facilities anymore. But that was a very wrong way to threaten them. That's number one. And then secondly, we have these facilities where we have counsels, people who actually, counsel them, pray for them, pastors that pray for them, feed them. But these children vandalize. It's unfortunate I couldn't get there to get these facilities pictures for you. They vandalize, escape, and they come out. Let me even give you my own personal example. I have a 19-year-old boy who is, I believe, a graduate of this Colombo group or cult that is actually in one of my facilities, one of my sites as a security man. I kept him there. I promised him he would be better than me. I told him he would be better than me. I told him I would train him. I told him I would buy him a car. And just yesterday, as I speak with you, the police visited my site, and then I was called that, of course, they are selling drugs in my site. And then I went there, they have arrested like 4 or 5 of like 17, 16, 18, 21-year-old children. And of course, they showed the white substances they were. And I told them, for crying out loud, if you can give them that secret, you can carry them. I promise this child, I'm going to bring you out. These children don't want to be taken care of. As in, we have tried our best. These children don't want to be together. They don't want to be in one facility where they will be trained. They like the streets. A lot of free things on the street. They can beat up children. They can rape people. They can stab people and all that. But incidentally, I was shocked when the police, for the first time, I was very shocked when I told them, as a commissioner, I will not be involved in such, to say I encourage you to do drugs in my place, whatever you want to do. They called me back and said, the fact that you're trying to rehabilitate this child or this young man, and then you spoken like this as a commissioner, I came this humble to say you buy him a car, you train him. I think we'll just allow him, but we'll be monitoring him, coming around to monitor him. So this is just one out of 100 of them. So I cannot handle 100 of them. The state is doing so much to get these children off the streets. But of course, some of them will go home, have their bath, come back, and stay on the street and start cussing out. But they work in groups. If you watch them fight themselves at times, it's even worse than when adults are fighting themselves. We are trying to separate that with the police. So as a state, we have a task force that were actually saddled with the duty of getting them together into those facilities and then checkmating them when they escape. And that was the Kuda task force. While they did not do well, while we condemned that act, they were just saddled with that responsibility to get the escapees back to those facilities where they are being cancelled and being fed.
All right. Just to be clear, Kuda, just a second. Just to be clear, Kuda for our viewers means the Cross River Urban Development Authority. That's what Kuda is.
And it started with the responsibility of keeping Calabar clean too.
And yeah, so it's the same as we have Loma here in Lagos.
Just wanted to speak to you to the point of all these allegations you've made against the children. At the end of the day, they're still children. Even if they're guilty of all of these crimes that you've alleged, it's still the responsibility of the state to take care of them holistically. Maybe the reason why they're ending up, and it should be part of the Cross River State government to take a review at the program, look at it holistically, and find out the reasons why they end up going to the streets, tackle it from the home front, and do a better job at rehabilitating.
Okay, can I say something? Recall I told you we met this situation. This administration met this situation. They've been there for more than 17 years. You understand? Some of these kids were born and abandoned in those waste bins by some ladies or girls we don't know where they came from. Some of these children were picked on the road. Some were sent out of their homes and they were witchcraft. They were small witches, 2-3 years old, by their parents. So we met the situation. We are trying our best. That's why I told you that we have set up in the Detention Council. Of course, we have a very we're part of a signatory for the Child Right Act. His Excellency Senator Prince Bassett coupled with the office of the wife of His Excellency, is doing return back school children, school feedings and all that. We're encouraging these children to leave the streets. But we're still working on it, and I want to bet you that in no fewer time, thank God it has come out to this open, will be better.
Honorable Commissioner, I mean, you can say that you're encouraging the children and you're doing everything to get them off the streets, but you just talked about a case of drug trafficking or the sales of drugs, right, at a site that is supposed to be owned by a government official. And so it begs to ask the question about what the government is doing regarding drug abuse, trafficking and sales of illicit drugs that is now being perpetrated and now being used by children and underage individuals and minors as well. What is the state government doing regarding drugs? Because from what you've described, it seems to be fueling the displacement and the street children on the streets.
Let me say something. This has been an act by these children over the years, not now. And of course, even if any of you do drugs, any of us do drugs, you won't know till you're caught. So of course, we're already setting out task force, setting out a lot of vigilante groups to checkmate these children, checkmate these drug things, and of course sensitize them at the same time. So we cannot actually enter everybody's brain and body and know if you're doing drugs or not till you're caught. Some of these children don't just want to hear. Yes, they are juveniles, but they don't want to hear. They form a gang. They call themselves a cult called Colombo. So it's a problem for us, and we're praying to God that we'll get over it by the grace of God. If only they will stick to that facility, stay in that facility, where there will be counsel against drug usage, a lot of child abuses, rape, using of cartridges, and some kind of, it will be better for us. But when they keep escaping out, vandalizing that sort of edifice, filtering the whole state, all the roundabout, you see them cooking there, picking up your chicken, picking up your goat, doing whatever they like. The blood will be there all over, a very clean edifice. That's a problem. That's what we're trying to sort with this task force. So they did not go about it in the right way.
All right, Honorable Ekpan,
it's a big problem for us. It's really a big problem for us, and we're going to sort it out.
We really hope that it will be sorted out. Thank you so much for joining us and speaking.
We will.
Before you go, we just want to find out, are there funds provided for the NGOs like street priests who are taking time to help children off the streets and provide them with the mental care, physical care, and spiritual care, all the care that they need? Is there any funds, any collaboration? Is the government of are you supporting them with? Because when they came here, even in that video, they said the government leaves everything to them. They have to use their funds and money. So can you confirm to us here today that funds are provided to these NGOs who have taken it upon themselves to help the government and collaborate with the government to get these children off the streets?
Thank you so very much. I cannot confirm to that. I'll tell you because I am very, very open, straightforward, and truthful. But when I spoke with the KUDA chairman, he told me they said civil society had taken those kids away. Before that incident, they've been together, they've been working together, they had their personal issues. That's why the task force reacted that way to them. And that they have agreed to pay them a certain amount of money every month to guarantee the safety of those children if they promise they can. And they said yes, and that has been going on. But I cannot confirm that. I am not the chairman of KUDA. I did not pay them any money. So I'm not saying here that actually I was there as a weekday to see the money went out. But I want the civil society to actually readdress this issue through the Commissioner for Humanitarian or Women Affairs, where it will be directed straight to the state government and the ESCO, and approvals will be made. And of course, we'll be so glad and happy if they can actually help us take this train off the streets. We will give all financial support. I trust my principal for that.
Okay. Thank you so much, Honorable Rasmus Ekpan, for speaking with us. We will look forward to hear good news and good reports coming out of Cross River State. And of course, Calabar will name them everywhere. I mean, the South is indeed a good place to stay. And good job that you're doing, keeping the state clean as well.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's our first piece here on Breakfast Central. We'll tell you what's coming up next right away as we look into more stories this morning. Adjourned El-Rufai's bail hearing to March 31. We'll talk about that story. Plus, our reporter was on ground to cover that. And Nigeria's oil production can hit 100,000 barrels per day in 1 month. Is it possible? MC Oluomo blows hot. Emini Chairman, he says. Thanks for staying with us on Breakfast Central. Nigeria's oil sector is facing a defining moment as production ambitions, global tensions, and rising domestic pressures intersect. The Group Chief Executive Officer of the NNPC Limited, Bayo Julari, says the country could boost crude output by an additional 100,000 barrels per day in the coming months as efforts continue to ramp up production from current levels of about 1.6 to 1.7 million barrels daily. This comes amid growing global uncertainty with heightened conflict in the Middle East threatening supply routes and driving volatility in international oil prices. During a recent meeting with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, industrialist Aliko Dangote called for urgent de-escalation, warning that prolonged tensions could further disrupt the global oil market and impact economies like Nigeria that are sensitive to price fluctuations.
At the domestic level, stakeholders in the downstream sector, including the Petroleum Products Retail Outlets Owners Association of Nigeria, Petron, are urging the federal government to introduce measures to cushion the impact of rising oil prices on citizens. They argue that without targeted interventions, the effects of high fuel cost could worsen inflation and deepen economic hardship for Nigerians. So joining us live on the program virtually to discuss the developments is the national president of Petron, and that's Billy Gillis Harry. He joins us live now. A very good morning to you, sir, and thank you so much for coming on the program this morning.
Thank you for having us on your show this morning. Good morning, Nigeria.
Good morning. Let's get started, shall we? The projections are now out. Nigeria is expected to increase oil production by an additional 100,000 barrels per day. How realistic is this target given the country's current output challenges and infrastructure constraints?
First, let me congratulate Nigeria for even starting the first step. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with just one step. So 100,000 barrels per day in addition to what's being done will give us anything between 1.7 and 1.8 million barrels per day. In our opinion, we should work hard to improve on that. What Nigeria needs today is at least a 4 million barrels per day production. And that will do us a lot of good. And I do not see why we cannot do that because there is no rocket science in this. It is just plug and play. We are working with production sharing facility. We are working with joint ventures. And so the opportunity to be able to up the game, to start looking towards an ambitious production of 4 million barrels a day is not too far-fetched. So we congratulated the GCO for that expectation of 100,000 barrels, but in our opinion, we should be thinking much more higher, much more inclusive, and there are simple ways to make that work. Because it's not a rocket science. We have the oil under our soil. We should improve our technology. We should get our partners to be able to work very creatively with us. We should put our eyes down and become much more detailed in the kind of agreements we sign. We should be able to know what we want to do and work very cooperatively with the host communities, because I believe that the host communities hold a very strong key to massive crude oil production and gas. And that's, how I think it should be as a Niger Delta.
Okay. Now, we seem to be in a catch-22 situation. There are projections that Nigeria has a lot to gain from this oil windfall as a result of the events in the Middle East. And Nigerians are feeling the pains in their pockets because they're paying the highest they've ever done in the history of this country at the pumps, 1,333 to 335 in some cases. So do we stand to benefit more or lose? And is there anything that we can do or the government could have done to really reduce the price of petrol at the pump?
At the risk of speaking for my president, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, a great leader in our season and our time, a president that has the heart to listen to the yearnings of Nigerians, I would dare say that the president is the first person to take the pains in this very dire time. And that pain cascades down to everybody, including Aliko Dangote that owns the Dangote refinery today that has come to the rescue of Nigeria and Africans, and even the world, because a lot of countries are looking to us, Aliko Dangote, to be a salvation point to give them their energy needs. I think that what is required at this point is sacrifices that all of us will make to ensure that we get to where we want to go. And where I think we should be heading, one, our energy security. Two, the consistent increment and increase of our economic activities to boost production and therefore increase the earning capacity of Nigerians. At this time, this war took everybody, unawares, I dare say, but we're there and we should be able to learn something out of it. We are benefiting from the high prices of crude oil. My question, my advice, my position will be that whatever benefits we have should be put towards making sure that Nigeria becomes better positioned.
Okay.
Once the crude oil pricing is determined by the international pricing mechanism because of the commodity values that that has, it's an international product. Nigeria should have a domestic plan of how we can produce crude oil and attract investors in the refining space to make Nigeria a massive refining hub. That will give us a little bit more guarantee. And that's why we are calling on NNPC, beyond looking for 100,000 barrels increment per day, we should be looking at making sure that our refineries are all fixed and they are working. And it doesn't call for any extraordinary dream. Simple things. Other clients have government-owned refineries and they're working with private partners, including Saudi Arabia. So we should be able to do the same, get the contracts right, be sure that these transactions are people beneficiary driven, people benefit driven, Nigerian people benefit driven, so that we can get our country back, to where we're. Nigeria is a great country. This is a world power waiting to happen, and we will get there, even in our lifetime.
Okay. I know I told you we have just a very few minutes to go for this conversation. We'll beg that you please give us just maybe an additional 5 minutes, but we have to go on a quick break. When we come back, you did mention that there are positives from growing if only our refineries are working, and you talked about Nigerians being the biggest beneficiaries of what is to come. We have more questions towards that angle, but do stay with us. We'll be right back. Thanks for staying with us. We still have Dr. Billy Gillis-Harry, who happens to be the national president of Adjourned, still with us as we look forward to bring this conversation to a halt. But let's quickly look at the major question here. We did talk about the 100,000 barrels per day, what it would mean for Nigeria, and Nigerians should look up to what will happen. But at this point, should Nigeria actually prioritize increasing crude production, or should we focus on refining capacity and domestic supply to stabilize the prices locally? If we don't ask this major question, I don't think Nigerians will be satisfied. And the question, in addition to what I just asked, is how long will our fuel prices keep going up? if the war becomes even more, in quotes, dirtier, are Nigerians expected to be ready to pay for some more? Is there going to be any form of maybe a cushion to help Nigerians
Maybe
absorb,
targeted subsidy.
a subsidy or something? Is Petron suggesting to the president to possibly go back into some form of maybe subsidy for a duration of time, and after everything has, gone back to normal, then we can revert back to what we're doing? What's your take as we wrap up?
If our president did not have the political will and the decisiveness and the knowledge of economics to stop subsidy on the 29th of May 2023, Nigeria may not be talking the way we are talking today. We have to give credit to the president and his team for that very decisive moment. We do have our disagreements on how that was done, because we thought that we should be able to plan and strategize on the day before subsidy is removed, the day subsidy is removed, and the day after, and the days after subsidy is removed. We didn't get to that, but that decision has saved us as a country in these very dire times. So, Petron will be the last organization asking for a return of subsidy in the petroleum, subsector of the economy. Rather, what we think could happen is that we are making gains in the sale of crude oil. So, can we, if I was placed in a position to advise the president and his economic team, I would say let's think out of the box and look for how we can make sure that cost of transportation is mitigated, is not allowed to spiral out of order, and food is available. Right. Once we can have these two things done, I can tell you that Nigerians are very resilient and creative and hardworking people. That's why I know that this country is a great country waiting to happen. And our president, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, will start that revolution. So your question is, should NNPC prioritize 100,000 barrels per day fined or refining? I would say both of them are important. But in my opinion, Port Harcourt refinery is already rural to life. Can we make it more economically productive and commercially viable? At least if we're having products coming from there, that will assuage the needs of petroleum products needs in the whole of the System 2E area of Nigeria, which is 13 states. And of course, the 100,000 barrels fine is also a very encouraging one. But we are saying we should aim for 4 million barrels a day.
Mr. Gillian-Harris, 4 million barrels per day. But you also you cited the structural issues that you face: theft, infrastructure, governance as some of the big issues that you face when it comes to production of this crude oil. So what are the guarantees that an extra 100,000 barrels per day will be sustainable after this few months? What are why this time? Why now? Because again, if you're chasing new outputs, one has to ask about, whether or not the existing capacity has been able to perform. I mean, like you rightfully said, it's been underperforming. So what gives? Why now? Why not focus on what we already have? Why push the boundaries, and can it be sustained?
Look, a lot of our young men are doing a great job. Tamsita is doing a great job. Target is doing a great job. Quite a lot of non-state players are assisting the state to ensure that there is security and production can go on safely. Now, beyond that, if NNPC, that is the holder of our sovereign wealth in terms of crude oil production and gas, will think out of the box and bring in the communities to ensure that they are fully involved. If a community is taking charge of what concerns them and they are going to grow out of there is no reason why anybody can come in there to vandalize anything or steal anything. So Nigerians should know that the best security we can have for our common assets, for our sovereign assets like crude oil and gas, is involvement of the local communities. Once we can do that and we put in the required technology, which we don't have to reinvent because we already have it elsewhere in the world, so it's plug and play. All we need to do is do our due diligence properly in signing agreements to be sure that we're able to see what is being produced, how it's being produced, and to be able to get our businesses working. And this is not talk. It's not difficult to do.
So this is about extra revenue. It's not about controlling the market. This is about extra revenue for the country. It's not necessarily about controlling the market or being a giant, whether among OPEC Plus or on the global stage.
No. Say, whatever you want to do on the global stage, you must have your domestic defense. You must have your domestic protection. You must have your domestic strength. If you are not domestically strong and you're standing well, you cannot. My mother told me, I can't help her if I cannot stand. And it cascades to every part of the world. So if Nigeria stands well locally, we can stand well internationally. And I believe that this country has enough technological ideas. There we have enough human power. We have, human development capacity. We have intelligent people. We have educated Nigerians who understand this state. So your question is, should we prioritize additional income to what we should be able to do? Additional income also gives us the stability to be able to do what we need to do. If we are calling on the government to, for instance, put so much effort on gas, which is where we think we should be going now. We should be looking at our CNG options. We should be looking at our LNG options. We should be looking at our daughter stations, mother stations, virtual methods of transporting gas. And Petron is willing to work with the government to ensure that we give our retail outlet space for establishment of these facilities to ensure that our electronic vehicle EV charging systems are working, our CNG plants are working, and gasify Nigeria. This will certainly reduce the dependence on petrol in firing our everyday mobility to increase, to fire our economy, to grow our economy. So, in my opinion, both looking for the 100,000 barrels per day is important, but again, I would say that 4 million barrels should be our projection, and we should be working towards that. And then also looking for how we can mitigate situations, such as making sure that transportation costs don't spiral out of order, and food is not expensive in the market for Nigerians to eat, will be one way for how Nigerians can be able to get out of this quagmire this time. And I believe that our president is listening. He's going to do this with his team.
Thank you so much, Dr. Billy Gillis Harris, National President of Petro, for your time with us this morning. We do appreciate your insights and also the optimism you share that Nigeria will indeed be a great country someday in all ramifications.
We will be. Yeah. Nigeria is a great country, and it will be a great country. I believe it.
Thank you once again.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
You're watching Breakfast Central. We'll go on a quick break, and when we return, we still have so much more for you. Do stay with us.
Hey, welcome back. Let's continue with one of our top stories this morning. The former Kaduna State Governor, Nasir El-Rufai, has been arraigned by the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission, ICPC, before a federal high court in Kaduna State on a 10-count charge bordering on alleged corruption, money laundering, and abuse of office. According to the charge sheet, El-Rufai is accused of fraudulently receiving inflated severance payments totaling about 579.7 million naira, significantly higher than the roughly 40 million naira he was legally entitled to for both terms in office. The prosecution alleges that he collected about 289.8 million naira on two separate occasions in 2020 and 2023 as severance benefits in violation of the Money Laundering Act.
Well, in addition, the ICPC alleges that the former governor received dollar deposits amounting to between $797,900 and $817,900 into his domiciliary account from multiple individuals between 2016 and 2023, funds believed to be proceeds of unlawful activities. One of the counts also accuses El-Rufai and a co-defendant of conspiring to disguise the origin of $10,000, further strengthening the money laundering allegations. Beyond the federal case, the ICPC has filed a separate suit before the Kaduna State High Court, where El-Rufai faces additional charges including abuse of office, fraud, intent to commit fraud, and conferring undue advantage. Now, the case has also involved multiple enforcement agencies. El-Rufai was initially arrested by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, if you remember, before being granted bail and subsequently rearrested by the ICPC, where he remained in custody pending arraignment. Well, let's not go too far. We do have our guests who's joining us to look into this, and let's see if we can dissect it very quickly. We'll also bring you footage of what happened yesterday, and we did have our man on ground who joined us earlier on to highlight this. But we have with us resolution attorney and partner Chinedu G. Udora and Co. Our guest definitely is here with us to speak with us. Good morning, by the way.
Good morning.
It's a tough one. Mr. Kudus joins us. By the way, first off, it's been back and forth on this El-Rufai situation. We thought where the EFCC stopped, that's where the case would actually, remain. But now you have the ICPC. First of all, let's look at it from a legal point of view. 2 anti-graft agencies. Oh, I forgot to mention one is not, but it's the DSS as well, making 3. If you were a litigant to Malam Nasir El-Rufai, what manner of handling these laws that we just mentioned, a lot of them have been highlighted that he's faced with, how will he be able to handle this in the court of law? There's ICPC, there's EFCC, there's DSS, all at the same time, one man.
Okay, yes, I think the first thing we need to realize is that the different prosecuting agencies, whether DSS, whether EFCC or ICPC, they have different mandates. If looking at the respective investigation each of them is carrying out, if it is quite different, they are investigating different allegations. Let's even assume that, yes, maybe ICPC and EFCC, they are investigating financial crime. So far, the financial crime is not the same. Let's say I'm investigating 10 naira. Then you are investigating 20 naira. They are not the same thing. It is, but it becomes an abuse, harassment, official harassment, where 2 or more prosecuting agencies are investigating the same subject matter. So I think that's
okay. That clarifies that. Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
Go ahead.
Judith,
no, I was going to ask Mr. Alalafia about the whole situation around his arrest, his detainment, and of course the adjournment. He's now been adjourned to March 31st. And here, my co-host here, Joe, has his own theory, which I'm going to let him expatiate on. But I do have to ask about the fairness of the court in not granting bail and this detention that we're seeing, and how this, the entire handling of the case. Is it fair? Does it align with cases like this? Is there precedence to this? What is the due process in situations like this?
Thank you very much. Fair trial involves fair play.
Okay.
Now, if we are going to look at the tension of the former governor of Kaduna State, El-Rufai, yes, we've seen it that the ICPC has over time said he is being held lawfully upon a court order. And if we are not going to talk based on emotion, facing the law squarely, ordinarily, an anti-graft agency can hold on to somebody, can deny somebody's liberty for a certain number of days. That is section 35, 4 and 5. For, let's say, 24 hours to 48 hours, depending. But if it is going to extend beyond that, then you need a court order. But I think where we now need to amend our law is that the law just said court order. So did not specify the courts. That is why it is easy for them to go to Sharia courts or to go to magistrate courts. But naturally, if you look at it, ordinarily, I think the intendment of the draftman of the law is high court. Because high court is a court of record, which will listing, you must file something, there must be something you are placing before the court for the court to now rule. But you know, magistrate court, they are summary court. We call them court of summary jurisdiction. You can even go orally, and the court will grant your prayer. But beyond that, the Supreme Court has over time ruled, if you look at the authority of Awemi and IGP, that there must be investigation before arrest. But in Nigeria, what we have is arrests before investigation. No, that is not. So that's why I said, when we are talking about fair trial, it also involves fair play.
Was there fair play here?
Well, I think if I want to sound, I'm going to sound subjectively. That's based on my own
Objectively,
opinion.
was there fair play?
Well, yes. If you're going to say objectively, we are going to say yes.
Subjectively.
Reason is that because there is a court order to hold him.
All right.
But subjectively, that's based on my own personal opinion.
Judgment, yeah.
I do not think so. Because there are authorities to say you must have carried out your investigation, concluded everything before. So that is why the intendment of the Constitution, under Section 35(4), is not that you hold somebody in perpetuity. Somebody has been held for several weeks, up to a month, before you now eventually take the person to court.
That's a big one. Anyway, our man was on ground yesterday. He was live in Kaduna, talking about Sagir Ibrahim, and he will join us now. Good morning, Sagir. It must have been a long day yesterday, covering the situation out of court and also around the environment. Can you share with us what happened? Give us an overview, as it were, what took place yesterday.
Good morning, Joe. Good morning, Judith. I'd like to do it this morning, I must say, first of all. Well, we got to the court by 8 a.m. yesterday. Expectedly, it was packed with security operatives. Men of the Nigerian police, the Nigerian Civil Defense Corps. There were men of the DSS manning the entrances of the court as well. But then we were granted a passage, of course, into the court premises. And we started to wait to see what next steps would be. The visuals you can see on your screen, the white hillocks that you could see initially, was the arrival of Madam Nasir El-Rufai, the former governor of Kaduna State, in company of several Department of State Services officials as well as members of the ICPC. He arrived at the court at around 9 a.m. thereabout, but he was in the vehicle until around 9:20 a.m. when he then came out and was escorted into the court premises, in company of his legal counsels and, of course, other members and supporters that came to the court with him. It was at this point that, expectedly, the men of the press, the fourth estate, as would be described, were supposed to also follow in, into the court so that we would observe proceeding that should be, because, that was the reason why we went there, to observe and report. But then the officer you can see currently on your screen mentioned immediately to us that that was the stopping point for journalists, whether, no matter which media organization you come from, you stop at the gate and you would wait to be given information after the hearing is done. And the question on our minds then was just why? Why did we have to wait at the gate for a case, a high-profile case such as this? In fact, an argument even ensued behind camera between us and the operatives at the gate. It's a high-profile case, yes, but this is not the most high-profile case that we've had to cover, and it was laid open for everybody to cover. Currently at the Federal High Court, suspects being tried for the attacks, in the Yelwata is happening at the Federal High Court. Journalists were not barred from covering that case. Abubakar Malami, the former Attorney General of the Federation, has been docked at the Federal High Court. That's also a high-profile case. Journalists were not barred from covering that case. And mind you, this is happening in Abuja. And of course, the amount or the level of security that's present at the Federal High Court during this case is not even as much as what we saw yesterday. In addition to that, we saw the case of the proscribed leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu. We saw that trial. We saw journalists cover that trial from the beginning up until the end of that trial. There was no point where journalists were expressly barred from covering the trials and the proceeding, because for what it is worth, we are the ones who put the information out there, for Nigerians and for members across the world to form an opinion of. So if you're not giving journalists access to cover, a high-profile case, it sends the wrong messages out there, but then it's what it is. We were kept outside. we had to wait until the end of the case. Of course, we saw the visuals which came afterwards. His lawyer, Ubong Akpan, came out. He briefed us. He gave us sort of an address of what transpired inside of the court. Arraignment was done, even though he had raised an initial objection that there was a similar case brought before same judge, but the judge in his own wisdom decided to proceed with arraignment. They were supposed to file bail applications on same date yesterday, but unfortunately, because the case was adjourned to the 31st of March, all pending applications will then be heard on that said date. That's basically what transpired. But then this was what happened inside of the court premises. It was an entirely different conversation outside of the court premises, as we subsequently saw. Went outside, and there was a crowd of supporters outside who were chanting solidarity songs and shouting the name of Madam Nasir El-Rufai, insisting that all of this is nothing short of a political witch hunt. And of course, it's just an attempt, by the powers that be, to smear the name of Malam Nasir El-Rufai, who, according to them, has worked so hard for them and is one of the most performing leaders in the North, according to their own description. So these were some of the things that played out yesterday. And I must add that we tried our best to see if we could find some dissenting voices. I mean, not everybody supports this man. It's a love and hate relationship. Some have described it that between himself and even, citizens and indigents of Kaduna State itself. So expectedly, we should find some individuals, some persons who had some axe to grind with this individual. But then we couldn't find anybody who was not chanting solidarity or shouting songs in his favor. But then that's a bit of what transpired at the court yesterday. Joe.
Thank you so much for the roundup there, an overview of what happened yesterday. Thanks, Ibrahim. You also mentioned Malami's case. I'm sure when we come back after the break, we'll touch on that with our guest, who's a legal practitioner. But thanks. Great job. Well done, Sergey Ibrahim, our reporter who covered the entire court proceedings yesterday concerning Malam Nasir El-Rufai. We'll go on a quick break. Breakfast Central continues shortly. Stay with us. Welcome back. Thanks for staying with us on Breakfast Central. We are taking a look at the recent court case that involves the former Kaduna State Governor, Malam Nasir El-Rufai. Our guest here is Kudus Alalafia, dispute resolution attorney, and partner Chinedu G. Udora and Co. Let's come back to the conversation now. Our reporter gave an overview of everything that happened yesterday.
Right.
I think the question for us is, the media is known as the fourth realm of the estate, whether you like it or not, but they were barred from getting into court yesterday. Are there instances where the court can say, listen, we don't want the media here, we don't want the press here to cover this, we don't want them to be part of it, we just want to do our own thing? Or do you think it was a premeditated move so as to ensure that the press will not be involved in getting details of what happened yesterday?
Okay, thank you very much. And that's a very sensitive question. But the general rule is that there is freedom of information, expression, and it is the fourth arm of government, that is the media, that is in charge of this. And ordinarily, the general rule is that the media should not be stopped from covering, because any attempt to do that becomes, may be interpreted as an infringement of rights. However, the way law operates, it has general rule, exception, and limitation to that exception. So there are certain exceptions where media may not be permitted. I'm using the word may not be permitted. Let's take, for instance, there is always a saying that justice is a three-way traffic. It's for the parties, it's for the society, and also for the courts. Because we must realize that it is human being that sits, and it is that human being we call the court. Now, if the person sitting as a judge, I'm just being preemptive, feels that he is not protected enough, or he feels threatened in any way, is the court. Now, the reporter that just gave a vivid explanation, you will see that majority of the cases is cited in Abuja. They allow them. Why? Because there is a presumption that there is enough security in the Federal Capital Territory. Perhaps it may not be the same in Kaduna. Perhaps if I'm also sitting as a judge in, let's say, in Taraba or in Maiduguri, I may not feel
comfortable
or safe.
Yeah.
Particularly when I know that there may be one or two cameras showing my face. And that's why you will see some of our judges.
Yeah.
I know a judge here in Lagos that will not sit without using face mask.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you understand? So it is something, the law gives them that prerogative. It's their discretion. If I feel like I'm not safe, I will not, because I want to discharge my duty, also put myself, because just behind the camera when I was saying, I said it is now a crime in Nigeria to hold an opinion, especially if you are a public figure. You will just be by the roadside doing something and somebody somewhere will just cite you and say, oh, this is this person and this is somebody you've never met. But because you hold an opinion, there's an attack.
It's always my voice that they first of all recognize. Hey, you look familiar, I don't.
Aha.
It's not because it's my voice, I don't. It's most like when I say my name, but oh, I know you. No, you don't.
So this is Nigeria. This is Nigeria. So
right.
It's quite unfortunate, but we should also put these things into perspective.
Let's talk about the case, shall we? It's been adjourned to March 31st. This is a money laundering charge. Allegations of about 283 point something million, over 200 million have been paid. Way above, this is over 200% more than what is supposed to be accrued for him in terms of severances. Shouldn't this be a very fast-track, expedited situation? Why are we adjoining? Why is it pushing down the road? They did not file this, they did not file that, so we're going to push it again to March 31st. If you have the investigations, you have your findings, you present this to court, closed door, case closed, speak to press, everyone's going home.
Okay, thank you. Like I said, I will go back to the formal aphorism I said, fair trial involves fair play. Now, in order to make sure of that fair play, the law has, which is the Administration of Criminal Justice law or act, as the case may be, has now stipulated procedures. No matter how, there is always a saying, justice rush is justice what? Crushed. Justice delayed is justice what? Denied. So the court must always be at the middle. There must be a center. And that is why, by what has happened so far, for me, I do not see, because I'm a litigation lawyer, I go to court of, it's a normal court procedure. Arraignment comes first, then you move your application for bail. Now, ordinarily, by the operation of Administration of Criminal Justice law or act, and a bail application can even be oral.
Okay.
However, because our high court, they are court of record, they usually want to have your application in writing. Now, there is an issue. The issue is that by law, you cannot prepare a bail application prior to arraignment. It becomes preemptive. That is the procedure. It becomes preemptive because until the person is brought to court and arraigned, the court does not have a full grasp of that person. It is when they are arraigned, and that is why, that is why our political actors really need to learn that you don't now use law to start punishing the other party.
So clearly this is a case of, understanding, playing by the books, but also politicking at its best, right?
Do you understand?
Because you've held him for quite a long time, waiting to arraign him in court. You're arraigning him in court now, and that means the next step is to apply for bail. But you cannot do that preemptively. And so until you file that bail, which takes us to the next hearing, March 31st. Today's what, 23rd or 25? So 6 more days. He's going to be in detention. The question is, will that bail be granted by March 31st?
Well, that is for now for the court.
That's for the court to decide.
I cannot pre-preempt.
But
the law is that the offense is charged with. It's not capital offense. It's not treasonable felony. It's a bailable offense. So definitely, that I will say is that the court, except there are other facts that we are not aware of. Do you understand? The court is most close to granting that bail.
Are you sure?
Okay,
Are you sure?
We'll find out.
Is politicking not going to happen?
No. What I want you to understand is that when we talk about politics, I'm not talking about politics in courts.
Yeah, we
I'm
didn't
talking
fish out
about-
anything from the law books to block that
because
bill.
these actors, if they see that you are a popular, you have a popular opinion, you are popular, and I want to take care of you, I can look at the time frame of the election. I say, keep him busy.
Yeah.
Don't set law in motion. Whether or not it will be successful is
Just
another
keep
thing.
going
Just
on.
keep going.
So your theory, it's kind of affirming to your theory.
Do you understand? So what I'm not trying to say is, and I need to address our politicians, our political actors. You do not need to use law, to weaponize law against, because ordinarily these procedures are there to safeguard, just for the judge to make sure that he is not being
used
unfair.
as a tool. Yeah.
Exactly. But of course,
oppression.
some people somewhere now see this as an instrument. Okay, of course, if you arraign him now, the court cannot proceed without hearing bail application. Yes, we oppose, then there will be adjournment. And that is why over times, if you are in court, the courts oftentimes will tell lawyers, you are the ones projecting us as bad. Because, see, no matter how frivolous an application is, a judge must hear it. That's the law.
Right. Look, I got it. Anyway.
I wish we had more time, but we're out of time.
There isn't, yeah.
I would have loved to touch on the MCO Luomo. And
you adore this guy, don't you?
No, I don't. No, please. I respect people.
Yes.
But I just want to.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Thank you for coming.
It's my pleasure.
We'll have you again.
Thank you so much for
this.
in-depth analysis. Love that.
All right, we'll go to a quick break. When we come back, we'll look at the headlines, breakfast headlines. Stay with us. Let's quickly take a look at the breakfast headlines for this morning. Former Attorney General of the Federation, Abubakar Malami, has accused operatives of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission of forcefully evicting him and his family from the Abuja residence. Malami made the allegation known while addressing journalists at a press conference on Tuesday, stating that the EFCC operatives stormed his home on Monday and returned the following day with armed personnel to complete the takeover. He claims the action was carried out despite ongoing court proceedings over the property and without a court order authorizing eviction or the sealing of the premises. According to Malami, the operatives were unable to complete the process on the first day but returned with reinforcement in armed officers to enforce the eviction and take possession of the residence. The Inspector General of Police, Tunji Disu, has ordered the redeployment of newly promoted senior officers across key formations in the Nigerian Police Force. The affected officers, recently elevated to the rank of Assistant Inspector General, have been assigned to strategic zones in departments. Former Lagos Commissioner of Police, Moshood Jimoh, has been posted to head Zone 2, Lagos, while Olatunji Fatai takes over as the new Commissioner of Police in the state. Let's tell you that meanwhile, the federal government has introduced new tax regulations aimed at tightening revenue collection and eliminating informal practices across the country. The federal government on Tuesday announced a ban on the collection of taxes in cash and prohibited the use of roadblocks for revenue enforcement. The decision forms part of new guidelines being implemented on the recently signed tax regulations at the Federal Ministry of Finance. Speaking at the signing of the presumptive tax regulations, the Executive Secretary of the Joint Revenue Board, Olusegun Adesokan, said the reforms are designed to eliminate coercive and unstructured tax collection methods, particularly at the state and local levels. Let's talk politics now. Parties under the Inter-Party Advisory Council have rejected the amended Electoral Act 2026, calling for urgent revisions to key provisions. The parties maintained this position during a consultative meeting with the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, in Abuja, where the Commission unveiled a revised draft of its 2026 regulations and guidelines for political parties, seeking their input to strengthen the electoral process ahead of the 2027 general elections. INEC Chairman Professor Joash Amubita said the new regulations were designed to align with the Electoral Act 2026 and address gaps identified in previous frameworks. Meanwhile, the national chairman of IPAC, Yusuf Dantale, has urged the National Assembly to review the law, citing concerns over pressure on parties and limited inclusivity. The crisis within the PDP deepened on Tuesday as party governors distanced themselves from the selection of a national chairman and secretary reportedly agreed upon by a faction aligned with the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike. The Wike-backed group is said to have settled on Senator Samuel Anyanwu as national secretary and Abdurrahman Mohammed as national chairman. However, senior members aligned with the governor's backed faction insist the process is being challenged and that they will pursue legal avenues to contest the selections. Meanwhile, members of the Wike-aligned caretaker structure maintained that consensus was reached across geopolitical zones in preparation for the party's national convention scheduled for March 29 to 30. Let's now take you outside of Nigeria. Reports say the United States has presented Iran with a 15-point proposal aimed at ending the war and de-escalating tensions. According to the New York Times, the plan was delivered through Pakistan, which has stepped in as a potential mediator between the two sides. Israeli media outlet Channel 12 reports that the proposal includes a one-month ceasefire during which both parties will engage in negotiations. Key elements of the plan reportedly include strict limits on Iran's nuclear activities, including a halt to uranium enrichment within its territory and the transfer of existing enriched materials. And that's all we have for you on Breakfast Headlines. Don't forget to join us at 12, where Judith will bring to you the 12 report. You can get more news, more stories, and definitely more reports. Stay with us. Breakfast Central continues.
And you're welcome back. It's still Breakfast Central just after the headline news. It's time for us to get to the major front page newspapers and just to get in depth into the headlines making the rounds today. As always, to do that with us, we have public affairs analyst and also a friend of the house, Mr. Sheson Okunade. He joins us live in the studio.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning to all of you.
Good to see you.
Yeah, I think I was off last week. Need to take it.
Are you sure this economy is not affecting you?
You have lights?
Yeah,
Look
because
like you slept well. There's lights in your house.
because the source is divine, so you can't interrupt with it.
I like that comeback, man. Wow. You said the source is divine. You can't interrupt.
You can't interrupt. So
Okay.
the owner of the light.
Let me see if I can see the
light.
clear source. okay, I see. Divine.
Yeah. The man that command the light to be gives some of us light.
Oh, good for you. Well, one thing about divine commandments is that they're full with leadership. And so we're going to get started with the leadership newspaper today. Hopefully that rhymed. If it didn't, please forgive me. I haven't had morning coffee.
That was a good one.
That was good. Thank you. We're going to start at the top there, at the very top there, before the headmast. Of course, everyone is on everyone's lips. One of the major stories that happened yesterday, major events unfolded, high-profile case. El-Rufai was arraigned in court, and now the court has now fixed March 31st for bail hearing. And the wife denied access to court's main entrance. You can find that story on page 7 of Leadership. And right next to it also, Obi should not have contested 2023 presidential election. Justice Salami, it's also on page 6 and 10 of the Leadership paper. The Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, that's the LCCI, is now warning of higher pump prices, wants more crude for local refineries. You can find that story on page 6. And then at the bottom there, reactions as INEC meets parties over draft guidelines. That story is on page 4. Pretty much one of the major stories for today. At the top of it, federal government targets lifting 50 million Nigerians out of poverty with 10 trillion naira plan. I see you smiling, Mr. Sheson. So I think we're going to get started there.
Yeah,
that's your main reaction. I was waiting for a reaction from you. So I think that one is piqued your interest.
Yeah, the headline is so catchy, but what made me laugh is going back to when the last administration came up with, lifting lots of people, out of poverty. And you and I know what the story ended with. We tend to be impoverished the more with some of the failures that we have expected. Maybe I will start with one critical area that is that cuts across. Whether you're a big man, you are a middle class, you are the lower cadre, is electricity. And quite shameful yesterday when I saw my minister apologizing. And I asked myself the question, will apology, redeem some of the failures or the cost of operations that several businesses, they are retrenching people. It may not just be on the headline because organization can't cope. Situation where you have to be on alternative power supply, diesel or petrol that is not available for several hours. So your operating costs keep rising. If you can't cope, the issue there is if you have 20 staff, you streamline them maybe to like 12. Ask 8 to go if things pick up. So I asked myself the issue, what are the parameters? What are the mechanisms? It's not enough to just come to the headlines and say you want to lift 50 million. This 10 trillion is already looking as there is one fund somewhere because of election that people just want to dole out. It is not about that. A lot of us have said, can we put up infrastructure that can impact? You can imagine if we have steady power supply, an average artisans on the road there would definitely do what is needful. Now, there is no electricity. 2, there is no petrol. So if you indeed want to do something, call an artisan who is a welder to come and do something for you. He's actually billing you times 3 of what it used to be.
Yeah.
So how will you be able to? So a lot of people are abandoning several things that they should have been able to do. So when you come up with this headline, it's quite, we've read a lot of it. If we monitor it, I'm telling you, it will. What caught my attention is the amount attributable to the number. So when you look at that amount, it's
I
like...
want to divide it.
What?
Let's do a quick division.
Division, 50 million.
50 million.
Can you calculate or calculate zero?
Divided by...
No, it's 10 trillion.
10 trillion divided by 50 million.
So...
I hope my...
I doubt.
Whilst he's doing that, there was a report, a multi-dimensional poverty report that was put out, I think, 2022-2023, 150 million which is about 70% of Nigerians are living in multi-dimensional poverty. With the current economic indices, whether the rebasing of the economy or the inflation or not, whether with a subsidy removal or interventions that have been made, do you think that number, that 150, has expanded over the years?
Definitely it has. Definitely it has, because it's not the same way we are. And I think Mr. President should prevail on some of the people handling his media. These are not news people like us want to see or hear. Let's see the action. And we will come on here to say, okay, these are the impact that some of these things, compared to how do you manage it? Just yesterday, we're talking about Minister of Power, who plays a strategic role, apologizing to people. And that is something that cuts across. We are on Band A. I asked myself whether I'm still on Band A. And
you're paying.
Why won't you pay? The token you bought on your prepaid meter is at what cost? It's at Band A. And you are not getting the specific amount that we're supposed. So when I listened to him yesterday, and I'm like, hearing in 2 weeks' time. And so I asked, what magic are we going to get within 2 weeks that you've not done in the past few months? I think there are things, Mr. President, because this particular issue of power is one of the cardinal points Mr. President used in campaigning.
Yes.
And it outright, I will say it, outright failure in all strata that everybody will know. So I keep asking myself, what is Mr. President looking? This is something you came up and say, see, I will give you power supply. And you've actually engaged someone to get that for you. And he's coming to even apologize on a press release. I think something needs to be done, because I'm so concerned about this issue of power, because it's impacting on businesses, impacting on individuals, impacting on education, impacting on health. You can imagine people that will go to health facility and they will tell you. Yesterday I was on a particular station and they said they could not, there was a bank, they had to open the windows because they don't have diesel. So if banks is already feeling the pinch of not having diesel to run their office. These are areas where some of my friends will say, if you want to enjoy AC, just walk into the bank, make inquiry, stay there for like 30 minutes. Nobody will beat you, come out. So if they cannot afford that, so what becomes of the normal SMEs who relies on some of those things?
Another problem we need to look at is the fact that if we talk about this power, by the way, we're looking at the Leadership newspaper. Feel free to call in and let us know what you think. The government is, just in case you don't get the information, the Nigerian government is about to spend 10 trillion naira. 10 trillion naira to remove impoverished Nigerians. Not all, just 50 million Nigerians.
That's like 25% because we are over 200 million.
Yes, we're over 200 million.
So that's like 25%.
Yes.
So the remaining 75%.
So the 75%, what will happen to them? Now, when I read that, funny enough, I stumbled on this story yesterday night and I had to read it. Apparently, who they are targeting are not business owners like you and I.
Right.
They're looking at those artisans and so on, those who have small, medium businesses, they say. And how do they want to help them? This story says that they want to help them by training them, teaching them some soft skills, mentoring them. I saw mentor there. They want to mentor them. Please, can you mentor somebody who is hungry, Mr. Okwade?
Is it about mentoring somebody that is hungry?
Somebody that doesn't have light?
When you talked about mentoring people, first and foremost, you don't go ahead and say, I want to mentor you. The individual identify you, pick you up because of certain qualities he has seen in you to say, oh, I believe so much in you, Joe. I looked at you on TV, the way and manner you do. Can you mentor me on specific? So when you are talking of the low-trodden set of people, the artisans, how many of the people to train pass through the level of being an artisan to know how organizing looks like and the likes? So it's quite question, because what a lot of us are actually looking at is, can government do certain things? I've been advocating for possibly subsidy on food because Joe, the number of beggars that we had on the street now, I get scared.
They're not on the streets anymore. They're everywhere.
Yeah, they're everywhere. I do have to ask, right? If we take a look at that headline, right, about the 10 trillion to 50 million Nigerians, it can be that small line there. If I juxtapose it back to 1999, to 2002, to 2001, 2005, to 2015, it's pretty much the same thing over and over again. Mr. Okwade, why is it that our leaders and the political class lack the creativity or the means to aid Nigerians? Why haven't they found lasting solutions? Why do we continually have to recycle the same means or the same method over and over again? It's either a cash transfer, it's either rice, it's either food subsidy.
Food subsidy is still rice, though.
It's rice. It's the same thing over and over again.
If you're hungry, rice.
Rice. Fuel is increased. So what?
You see, I will always say that the government is not bereaved of ideas. I think it is just the act.
Sorry, Mr. Okwade, let's take this call. Sorry. Let's take this call. Godwin, good morning.
Yeah, good morning, my dear brother. How are you?
Fine. Long time no here, but welcome.
Yeah. Can I speak?
Go ahead, please.
Can you turn up the volume of your TV set, please? Do that for us very quickly.
I'll do that right away.
All right, and then do let us know if you're part amongst the 50 million Nigerians who would benefit from the 10 trillion naira. Okay? 10 trillion naira, 50 million Nigerians.
Godwin, are you still with us?
Okay.
We lost him there.
I think with us,
you can always call the number to join the conversation is right up on your screen there. Do call us as we are going in depth on the major headlines on the front page of the newspapers for this morning. Our guest today, Mr. Sheson Okwade, he's with us live in the studio. Mr. Sheson, your thoughts before the call came in?
Yeah.
Godwin is back.
Okay, he's back.
Okay, he's back, yeah.
Godwin, good morning.
Yes, good morning.
Go ahead, please.
Yes, I've been watching this program here, Only good morning, Uncle, and your crew. How are you?
Great. Thank you.
Yes. I'm not talking about this poverty thing. I know it's all lies and propaganda. I'm talking of the Minister of Power. Power is the bedrock of the economy. How can somebody come tell me that in 4 years' time, if I cannot produce electricity, nobody can vote for him? We agree. Now, instead of putting somebody as a strong bank and have a good experience on that job, you put one man that is coming to apologize to me that I seen in 2 weeks more. Okay, in the 2 weeks, what do? I'm going to buy fuel for 5 naira, 2 naira, 3 naira. For goodness sake, what is happening? People are just thinking that all Nigerians are fools. We are not. Some of us just keep quiet and be looking at the tomfoolery that is going on. Good morning.
Good morning.
Godwin is not happy. But I'd like to beg our producers to please put up that video of the minister again. I think we need to let Nigerians understand what's really going on. And I'd like to highlight 3 angles. Unfortunately, we have to move on with the papers very quickly. But let's watch that video. It seems to be a major talking point because it affects every nook and cranny, every lives as we speak. Now, you talked about the bank.
Yeah.
You know, but let's watch this video.
Temporary issue that is leading to hardship being experienced, especially during this dry season, where there is so much heat everywhere, where businesses are also being affected, where schools are being affected, where industries are being affected. It is not our wish to find ourselves in this situation, but it's some factors that's actually beyond our control. But we are not relenting. We are working on it 24/7 to make sure that we go back to the trend, to the trajectory of 2025, whereby you praised us, whereby you commended us for a good job well done. And we can imagine if we could provide such service in 2025, this is 2026, this is when we'll be willing to even do more, to even do better as we are close to the election year. So, except that we cannot help it, that's why we find ourselves here. But I can assure you that in the next few weeks, all this will be over. Power generation will improve, transmission will improve, distribution will improve, and that 6,000 megawatts will be achieved before the end of this year. And Nigerians will be better for it. Thank you very much.
That pretty much looks like a campaign speech, one. Secondly, apologizing to Nigerians. And we do hear that his political ambition has indeed tanked.
Yeah, well, if you say it's a campaign, I consider that as demarketing himself. When you come in at the beginning of, there were hopes and so much enthusiasm on the part of the citizen, believing the strategic role that power play in our economy. And here we are, just a year to the end of the administration, you are coming with apology. What I cannot manage is, he said in the next 2 weeks, there will be improvement.
So we should suffer for 2 weeks.
And towards the end of the year. So I don't know, is it towards end of the... As we speak, I don't think we have up to 4,000 megawatts. No, I can't ascertain that figure. But I know that there was this move to increase to about 8,000 megawatt, 10,000 megawatt capacity. And a lot of us are still asking the question. The last administration started the project with transmission on Siemens project. Where are we on this particular project? Is it that it's dead on arrival, or there's another strategic way to actually close that particular contract? I think they must bring certain things to bear for people to have understanding of. But I can tell you, everyone that will call today will speak to this, because you can imagine he admitted to it. Now there is serious heat that you cannot even sleep without having anything on. So you can't afford petrol, which is about close to 1,400.
Yeah.
You understand? You can't afford that. And here you are sleeping. I feel for those that are just giving birth to children. So you are welcoming them into a country where darkness pervades. And you can imagine the kind of sickness. So that's why I said, for me, the major discourse is as per this particular. So if you are considering this as political campaign for him to have, win the sympathy of the people, I would say to me, he's demarketing himself. I'm quite unfortunate that he's a professional colleague where we run things together in that part. But I'm really not too impressed because you can imagine if electricity is available, you need not to be talking about lifting people out of poverty. People on their own will work. You see, there is this multiplier effect when certain things are done correctly. When there are availability, you can go to the artisans who you want to mentor or do certain things to, and they will provide those services for you, earning their money to take care of their family and all those things. You go to the hairdresser. Yeah, to the women this day, they prefer to do a hair that will take them 2 months because who wants to go to the salon and be wasting money all the time? They just want to save their cost. For the guys, everybody tries to now keep, afro. You have your afro. You have your afro and keep it. It's not everybody that will be there. Or you use your clipper yourself. So we've suddenly become. So these are things that if you put those major things in place, imagining you having electricity, affordable fueling, all those other sectors, I feel for students who takes out time to read. People like us, while we're growing up, we don't have opportunity to read during the day. So you wait at night because you have to do some hustling and bustling. So you are guaranteed. Anytime we're talking about our own time, I look back and I say, oh boy, the thing they look as if it's about 50 years ago. 50 years ago. It's not. It's not too far now. That we will wake up. We are so guaranteed that there is power at night for you to read. So when you read and you balance those things, you're able to move.
Unfortunately, I grew up in the time when there was no light at night, so it was Otukban and kerosene lamp. But Ebuka from Warri is joining us live now, just to call in here. Ebuka, thank you so much for joining us, and very good morning to you.
Yes, thank you very much.
Please go ahead with your contribution.
Thank you. So, I've been listening to the presidential candidate of SDP about this government. He described this government as a capone. When a capone is in office, they manage everywhere, anywhere, anyhow they want to manage it, either by hook or crook. You see this 10 million, they are 10 trillion that you hear, it doesn't exist anywhere. If it exists, why have they not paid their contractors? Contractors are on the street protected for not being paid. So where is the 10 trillion? You will just hear that 1, 2 people are being paid. Have you ever seen anybody that collected money from this government, either in your neighborhood, through this their compulsory cash transfer? So, to be honest, it's only God that can save this country from the hands of people. It's a cartel style of managing system. Nowhere, nothing is functioning. But you still have some people that will come, they are funding people now to come to the media houses to come and talk. And I want to appreciate the person that you have today. He's a very good man, and he's speaking to the truth. Some of your analysts come here, it is evident that they say. But that is how you get, that's what you see in the capone system. So that's my contribution. There is no 10 trillion anywhere, so nobody should deceive anybody. If there is any 10 trillion, let them use it to pay the subsidy for the electricity. They are only the distributor, what do you call it, the people that they generate power for the city and all that. Let them pay that one. If there's any 10 trillion anywhere, let them pay their contractors. If there's any 10 trillion anywhere, let them use it to cushion the cost of energy. So that Nigerians can at least move. If you don't move, the economy doesn't move, take place anywhere. People are not in their houses. So that's my contribution. Thank you.
Thank you, Ebuka, for calling.
Solid analysis there from him. 10 trillion can be used to pay the Gencos. It can be used to do a couple of things instead of doing it as conditional cash transfer. Joe, you're going to say something.
I don't know. I can't hold it again.
See.
I can't hold it again. At this point, I need to ring the bell of conscience. Yes, we have a bell of conscience. Why wait? Refineries are not working.
Right.
Okay. So far, so good. Let me check my records because I like to keep records now. I mean, if you look at the records, so far, so good. NNPC, we're still looking for the monies from NNPC. Yes, we've not seen that.
That was not accounted for.
This same power sector, Mr. Delabu, is in. Monies were missing, 2 billion were missing. When it was asked, he said, it's not in my tenure, it's in the previous one. What are you doing to recover that money? So where is the EF? Can't you invoke the powers of the EFCC, ICPC, the same energy they have chasing politicians, can they chase the former members or leaders of gas
of these
these countries and parastatals or ministries? There's so much going on. Now you want to spend 10 trillion. Guess what? The money can do a lot. The Gencos are crying that you're owing them how much? 6.6 trillion naira. Minus that from 10 trillion naira that you want to give to 50 million Nigerians.
Is left, yeah.
How much is left?
In fact, by the time you give that money to the Genco, you have increased their capacity in developing more, because they now have funds to do some other things. And let me just also
take a second. I understand that we have a caller from Abia State. If I'm correct, that's Uche. Uche is calling us from Abia. Uche, a very good morning to you. Sorry for holding you there. Go ahead with your thoughts this morning.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
My sister, who appointed this minister?
Who
appointed this minister of power?
It's president, the president.
The president.
Yes, sir.
When Mr. President, adopted a system of solar in Aso Rock, what did you people say?
That it was wrong. He was going off the grid, yes.
Went as far as, putting a solar in Aso Rock. How many billions? So Nigeria should not expect any power from this administration. For Aso Rock to have gone on solar, and you are still expecting the minister to give you power. It's impossible. It's a pity. With the minister, the top part of the salary he has received under this administration for failing Nigerians. It's a pity. I'm not expecting life from Mr. President. First of all, he promised to give us life. He said if he did not provide life, we should not vote him in again on the second time. Because of that, he has gone on solar. And some of you are expecting life from them. No, for me. God bless you people. Let's wait and see whether we will elect him without electricity.
Thank you very much. Let me put into perspective, forgive me for butting in here. There are MDAs that owe the distribution companies, right? And they're MDAs. Many of the ministries do owe them. Many of the agencies that are owned by the government do owe them. And apparently also does Aso Rock do owe for Abuja Electricity Distribution Company the bills as well. Now, accumulatively, when it's not being paid, Nigerians, on the other hand, were paying. In fact, when estimated billing came about, prepaid meters came about, we've always been paying and we're still paying. If you have bill on your post-paid meter and you now transfer to your prepaid meter, you have a legacy bill on that as you are paying, there's a deduction. So Nigerians are paying. The issue here has always been the government. Now, it is tone deaf that the Nigerian government, the presidency, the Aso Rock, the residence of the president decides to remove itself off and go off the grid, knowing well that you are owing the distribution company, refusing to pay that money or haven't paid that money that we know of. You have now gone off the grid whilst Nigerians are perpetually in darkness.
I even want to say something. Maybe I take the attraction away again from the center. We all heard and we listened to several governors telling us so much money that they have in their coffers as we speak. And I asked myself, what will it take a state to consider setting up independent power supply to actually make your state an hub? Lagos State started it some time ago, and I was thinking by now, because they have the electricity board that actually worked, and we have signed the Electricity Act, which empowered the state, the subnational, to actually generate and do something.
It's independent.
So if you have so much money, if the federal is failing, we can owe that to every state therein. Why can't you stand out as a state? I listened to, yesterday I was on a station and they were talking of Oyo State governor, subsidizing by paying 10,000
naira.
And I asked myself, that's a civil servant. So what becomes of you and I, that we are not under your purview of things that you've been doing? Can't we do something that will cut across? It was on this particular station we discussed when the federal government, president, gave executive order to release the CNG kits We both discussed that.
100,000 till today.
Till today. Here's the
see
progress that we've made on this. How much of the bosses have we seen? How many people can we testify that have actually gotten access to some of these things? This is what... So I feel if the federal government is not doing that which is expected of them, state government can take it from there. You can make your state an hub.
Look, decentralization is always being said every single time, but I do have to ask whether or not it would be sustainable moving forward, because there are issues. Let's look at the economy. Let's look at the attraction of foreign investments. Let's look at the expansion of commercialization across states. Not every state have been able to do that. Let's look at job creation in all the states. And also the state governors are still doing their best to I mean, there was a part where they were celebrating airports that is not being in use. Case in point, Boeing. David May, good day, sir. There's also flyover bridges that was also celebrated in Boeing. And those monies could have gone to maybe creating a power grid of its own where production of rice, Boeing rices, I mean, it's known for that. But it's not happening. So if decentralization happens, can it be sustained? That's the question.
The fact remains that it's misplacement of priority. So when you see certain funds comes in, everybody they are looking at legacy project. That's what they call it. And I ask myself, if I'm in position today, the legacy project I would rather give to everyone is power. If you are able to solve the problem of power, and why do people japa?
Mr. Shinson, there's no fine way to say it, but let's just tell our viewers who are watching on the paper we're looking at the Leadership newspaper. There's a line there on the paper there. That's what we're highlighting. That is from the crux of this conversation. Federal government targets lifting 50 million Nigerians out of poverty, they say, with 10 trillion naira plan. And we just want to highlight here that 10 trillion naira can do a lot, can solve the power issues. What do we mean? Let's break it down for you just in case you just tuned in. The Gencos are saying that the federal government is owing them 6.6 trillion naira. If you minus 6.6 trillion naira from the 10 trillion naira that they want to give to 50 million Nigerians, and the way they are giving it to them is not really cash in hand. They say they will do mentorship, they will support them with small money, they will train them and so on. And where is the proof where these monies will go to? In the past, we've seen this kind of poverty alleviation programs, and many have said, till today, I've still not seen up to 10 people who say they received the cash transfers. We've not seen them, so we don't know who they are. The federal government, we've asked for information we have the right for information, to have information released to the press. We've asked, okay, can you share data? They said, no, it's not safe to share data of people who have received the money. So how are Nigerians sure that you really gave the people the money? However, let's backtrack on this 10 trillion naira. If you remove 6.6 trillion naira from 10 trillion naira, what do we have?
3.4.
We have 3.4 trillion left. Now, let's shock Nigerians a bit, and of course, shock the government themselves. Maybe they don't know. The Aso Rock, okay, Mr. President said, if I don't give you power, don't vote for me. Mr. President has left us. He's now on solar.
It's off the grid, yeah.
Okay, now
it's like having a school and sending your children to another school.
Exactly.
To bring them. So you want us to have confidence.
When you are not teaching
technology.
You are not teaching.
That's a perfect analogy there.
So you are off the grid, and we expect. I'm sure the apology on behalf of the minister is actually given.
Now,
say we leave you to your fate.
Exactly. Now let me break it down for you. We have 3.4 trillion naira left. Aso Rock, as it were, in 2014. Was owing the Abuja power grid, the entire, still under Nigeria's power distribution company. It was owing them 924 million naira. If you don't share, we still have change, right? Sorry, we're coming down to localize so that.
So 1 trillion out of that. So what we left with like 2.4.
Just take 1 trillion and solve the Aso Rock issue. Now, 84 MDAs, ministries, and of course,
parastatals,
agencies, departments of agents, and so on, we're owing just 48 or 47 billion naira. So remove.
So that's like half of a trillion.
Billion from that 2 trillion.
You're left with 2 trillion.
Just take it out from there. You still even have change from the
other.
Yeah,
you have like 1.9. Yeah.
Roughly, you still have. So you've solved the issue. You've solved the power issue. And it makes you wonder sometimes if you who thinks this way, whether you are sick or you're not feeling too
And that's
well.
why I said, why is it that we keep recycling the same methods of solutions? Why are they not creative? Why are they not proactive? We just sat down here and solved our power issue.
We just did that now.
We just did that.
With the 10 trillion naira you want to give to 50 million Nigerians.
And all thanks to Uche, by the way. Was it Uche Ebuka? We just solved the issue here.
So I don't know if we solved this problem yet.
Let me play the...
No, we just have the Minister of Power
for the politician. It's not as easy as the way you just put it. So let me speak the way they will do it.
Okay, big
I saw Joe breaking down those things this morning, talking about this. It's not as easy as what you think. The 6.6 billion that we are owing the Genco, there are all the things that we are not telling you, that you don't know about. It's just that particular one that and I ask myself, these people, they get conscience. So.
Ring the bell of conscience.
Because, see, if you ask anybody, there are two key things that make every youth leave this country. Security and power. Each time I travel, people, we are used to carrying power bank.
Yeah. Even the minister, I was shocked. He didn't carry power bank in this.
I know
they don't show the phone. Now when they carry him,
he always has two power.
There is no.
A power bank is now an accessory, right?
Yeah, it's part of
your gear that you carry every day. What you should be asking whether or not his home is off the grid, whether his home is country home, or so clearly he does. There's an inverter at home.
Definitely,
exactly. And then again, we're supposed to change the inverter batteries. Do you know how much one of those batteries
costs now?
So, see, I just want to appeal to Mr. President. He should look inwardly. I asked myself the question. I saw the track he was bringing on board when he came in, and he said he was setting up a particular department who are going to have the KPIs of some of these ministers.
Absolutely.
Under the Usman,
yes.
this former MD of NPA.
Yes.
And up till today,
nothing.
I have not seen KPI index 3 years to say this is the rating. So the question I ask myself is, when you want to actually do appraisal, your organization has given you your KPIs, what you are supposed to attain. Is it that for those people to still be there 3 years and coming to apologize, are they working in tandem with the KPI you have set? I used to, when I saw that idea, I said, oh no, this will put every of the ministers and the head on their toes.
Yeah, it was the first time that made them remove former Minister Uju and the others.
And that this would definitely, and that thing just came and fizzled out. I don't know the rating. I'm calling out the coordinating head of that particular performance KPI. Share with the citizen what you have been doing, because they've been paying our salary.
Yes, sir.
What have you been doing in the last 3 years? Bring out the scorecard. Let Nigerians criticize and say you've actually, because there are two things. We may be expecting too much. Possibly what they've given to them are below and they are meeting up to expectations.
And what if our office is also owing NEPA too? Maybe they're owing too now. Would they? Sorry. I'm saying, because if you're
so that's why we always tell individuals that having some of those policies is not a problem. It's when it comes to implementation. That on its own is set to put an average minister or government functionary on their toes, because someone is watching. And I've asked myself, Mr. President, have you asked this woman, what have you done? What's the scorecard in the last few months, in the last few years? Is this person working to expectation as we've set it? I gave the commitment to average Nigeria that they will have power supply. Are we actually, because I don't expect Mr. President to be everywhere, but there are people that are set up to give him feedbacks. So I think they are possibly telling Mr. President that, sir, there is power everywhere. Because if you go to Ikoyi, I don't stay on the other. I'm sure Ikoyi will have there, but people in Eko Electricity are already saying that
there's not.
You are in that territory.
Please, let's run through the Punch newspaper. The Punch newspaper very quickly. PDP governors reject Wike's bloc consensus chair. At the top there it says parties want INEC rules could skew 2027 polls. They also want a review of the Electoral Amendment Act. Nigeria's out-of-school crisis demands $345 trillion yearly. You see, the money is again flying. ICPC alleges El-Rufai pocketed 289 million naira, $797,900 illegally. They found it in some of his accounts, and they said it was transferred. But permit me to quickly rush to YouTube. We have some comments we need to take before we wrap up the show very quickly. on YouTube. The major challenge with this government is its tendency to allow a particular section of the country to dominate key and sensitive ministries, often without adequate consideration of competence and capacity. He says, this is Olumide Alade. He says the concentration of individuals from the Yoruba tribe is critical in critical sectors, has raised concerns about fairness and
meritocracy.
He also says almost every day media platforms invite experts to discuss. He goes on to say solutions to the nation's problems, however, rather than seeking most capable individuals across the country who can truly drive transformation there,
there appears to be a preference for politics. Hey, I don't know anything about tribe, but I think meritocracy is very, very important.
Very key.
Very key. And one of the things that was purported by this presidency during his campaign from his supporters was that they kept saying that if there's one thing about him is he's a bureaucrat, he's very good, he's a headhunter, he's able to fish out the best talents. And I say he does when that parastatal suits him. What we see, when he has interest in those parastatals, right?
But I would say one thing, pardon me. He hunts for the good ends, but there is one thing. Do you have that freedom to exercise? There's one thing on this state. You can be very, very good. If they are not giving you freedom to exercise that given talent of yours, and somebody is just looking at you that, no, that you did today, it's something, every day is demotivating words, micromanaging you. You can't get the best out of you. But the disheartening thing there is a lot of those people that were actually unpicked, that were believed in, will not leave the office, even when they understand that this particular thing is not working in line with what I gave the commitment to actually make things work. And that's actually the difference. It's not that it doesn't...
Isn't that the dangers of sycophancy?
Let's take more comments as we look to wrap up. We have just 1 minute to go. DJ3631 says, yes, we can make 4 million barrels a day. He's talking about the conversation we had with Petron president. He says, why not? Too much corruption in the oil sector in Nigeria. By now, NNPC should be doing close to Aramco. Because our guest said, yes, congratulations to Ojulari, the NNPCL boss, who said we're going to make 100,000 barrels per day. It's going to come into fruition very soon. Who's the governor of Cross River State? Another one asked. We talked about the children on the street.
His Excellency Governor Basio too.
Yeah. Can anyone really believe that the privatization process was opaque? We also have so many other comments here, but we want to quickly thank all who dropped a comment or two, and those who joined us from the start of Breakfast Central. As always, waking up with us is indeed a delight. And if this is your first time watching the program, always tune in and watch every day, because we're here to look at every single thing that's happening around the continent. Most importantly, our focus is here on Africa, Nigeria as well. Our bell of conscience.
I was waiting for you to ring that thing the whole time.
Mr. Thank you for coming.
It's always a pleasure to be with you midweek.
Fuel. We have to full tank now is a problem.
If there's a major thing,
you see the full your tank? Oh boy,
no, I know the full tank.
You say full tank now.
The way I say it's a problem.
Now, so we look for.
The major thing you should take away from here. Please don't be a sycophant. Bye for now. Just leave this stew. Leave this stew.
Leave this stew. Top up 2.5.